This hour, the ruling on Utah's new congressional map has caught the attention of Democrats in Washington, who are hoping they can help turn one of Utah's 4 House seats blue next year. The chairwoman of the U.S. House Democrats' official fundraising arm told the Deseret News they will, quote, stand ready to help flip the 1st District. The ruling also has the attention of Republicans who are trying to maintain control of the House in 2026. Just over a dozen people have filed paperwork for a possible congressional campaign as the congressional maps change, but only 5 have more than a few $100s in their campaign fund.
All 4 of Utah's current congressional representatives have at least $100,000 to spend on a run for re-election. But of the 9 others, only former Congressman Ben McAdams has more than a few $100s for their campaign, as reported by the Federal Election Commission. But his $15,003 seems insignificant compared to the $167,000 of likely opponent Burgess Owens. Of the 13 potential candidates, Blake Moore has the most to spend, currently at just under $2,200,000. Don Brinkerhoff, KSL News Radio.
Our top national story this hour from ABC News. The House will reconvene this afternoon to vote on a measure that could possibly end the longest government shutdown in U.S. history. Speaker of the House Mike Johnson is optimistic.
We believe the long national nightmare will be over tonight. It was completely and utterly foolish and pointless in the end, as we said all along.
If it gets passed in the House, it will have to go through the Senate again before hitting the president's desk. Is that true? They would have to go through the Senate again? I thought it went straight to the president. We'll check on that. Let's get a look now at your money at this moment and see where the Dow is up 383. We're at 48,311. And coming up, we'll get a look at the weather forecast and see about these clouds and chance of rain and check the temperatures as well. Warm for the next couple of days. KSL weather is next. KSL News Time 9:02. Mornings are for recharging.
And they're for starting your day right.
We volunteer to join you in the car. Get news and weather at 102.7 FM during the most important part of your day.
Andy and Amanda, each morning between 5 and 9 on KSL News Radio.
Each night in Utah, nearly 1,000 people sleep on our streets. This past year, homelessness rose by 18%. More than 15,000 Utahns experienced homelessness in 2025.
Behind every number is a person, often facing trauma, addiction, and isolation. Being homeless is cold and lonely. And while winter overflow shelters are open, there still aren't enough beds.
The Rescue Mission of Salt Lake and Ogden Rescue Mission are here to help. Through their Inpatient Life Transformation Program, they address the root causes of homelessness, offering life skills, education, and faith-based support to help people rebuild their lives.
They also provide daily meals, shelter, hygiene services, clothing, and street outreach. Emergency services are often the first step toward hope.
The Rescue Mission receives no government funding. It's powered entirely by your generous tax-deductible donations.
Help someone work their way out of homelessness. Visit rescuesaltlake.org to learn more.
You gave years, maybe decades to your job. You showed up, worked hard, and planned for retirement. But now, the company's changed. Or maybe you've taken a buyout or been forced into early retirement. So, what happens next? I'm Jeff Jr., founder of Trajan Wealth. And if you've built up a 401k or thrift savings plan, now is the time to ask, is that money really working for you? Many workplace retirement plans offer limited options and even less guidance. At Trajan Wealth, we help people just like you roll over their accounts into IRAs with more flexibility and personalized investment strategies built around your goals. For households with $500,000 or more, let us build you a personalized plan. We operate on veteran values, service, trust, and doing what's right. Your next chapter starts now. Call Trajan today. 801-207-9900. That's 801-207-9900.
Advisory services offered through Trajan Wealth, LLC, an SEC-registered investment advisor. See website for details.
So my mother is thinking of switching from Verizon to Pure Talk, but she's worried the deal sounds too good to be true. Michael, she said, how can those Pure Talk people offer me the same basic service as Verizon for so much less money? I said, Ma, go ask Google how much Verizon spends on advertising and promotions. A few seconds later, my mother said, oh my goodness, $12 billion a year? That must be a typo. I'll tell you what I told my mom. It's not a typo. Verizon spends $12 billion a year on advertising and promotions, and their customers are paying for it. Well, Pure Talk doesn't spend that kind of money on commercials. Trust me, I would know. That's why they can offer you and my mother unlimited talk, text, and plenty of data on a crazy fast 5G network for just $25 a month. And if you're a business owner, you could really save a fortune. Dial pound 250, say the words Mike Rowe, and you'll get an additional 50% off your first month. That's pound 250 Mike Rowe. Pure Talk. Everything you need and nothing you don't.
Traffic and weather together brought to you by Mountain America's Visa Triple Rewards. And here's Heather Kelly.
Well, we still have these big delays eastbound I-80 coming off the summit of Parley's Canyon, trying to exit at Kimball Junction. It's actually due to traffic lights that are not working properly on SR 224 at Olympic Parkway. Crews are on the scene trying to fix it, but because you have to treat it as a four-way stop and you've got all the freeway traffic trying to exit onto SR 224, causing huge backups in that area. Otherwise, you've got a fairly good drive across the Wasatch Front. Just some slowdowns remaining northbound I-15 from Point of the Mountain into downtown Salt Lake, and on the west side belt southbound in the road construction zone where we have the new lane configurations approaching I-80. Use Superior Water and Air for all your HVAC and water treatment needs. Call 974-9090 or visit superiorwaterandair.com. Superior Water and Air, we got this. Heather Kelly in the KSL Traffic Center.
We're having a pretty warm week. Today will be partly sunny with highs in the mid-60s. We get close to 70 tomorrow. Right now it's 46 degrees. I'm Amanda Dixon from the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios. Listen online at kslnewsradio.com. We're Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
The all-new Inside Sources. Your inside access to the people and policies shaping Utah's future. Here are Greg Skordas and Holly Richardson on KSL News Radio.
Welcome back to another edition of Inside Sources, and I'm back.
Yay!
Alongside Holly Richardson. I missed our 5-month anniversary the other day.
I know. It was on the weekend anyway,
Yeah,
though.
that's true. I think it was Saturday or Sunday. Anyway, I had a little accident bicycling in Torrey a week and a half ago, broke a couple bones and was laid up in the hospital for a couple days, but I'm back and feeling good today, and I'm happy also to see that our government shutdown is about to come to an end. I think that the Senate voted last night, Holly. They got the votes that they needed, the 60 votes that they needed, but it's got to go back to the House, and so maybe you could help me understand that, help our listeners understand that, because it had already passed the House, but now it's a little bit different than it was when the House passed it, I take it.
Yeah, so they actually passed it Monday night, and on Sunday night they had taken the very first of the procedural votes to say, okay, we're going to go ahead and move forward with this. So if you remember, there was a conversation and some pressure from President Trump to say, let's get rid of the filibuster, meaning they would just need a simple majority, but there was enough I guess pushback from Republican senators that they did not do that, and what they ended up doing is they found 8 centrist Democrats who would vote with them, and there was one no vote actually on the Republican side. That was Senator Rand Paul. But they have these 8 centrist Democrats who are voting to bring this to a close. But you're right. It has to go back over to the House because there were some changes. We're going to talk later in the show to our congressional correspondent that we keep going to, Cami Mondo, and she's going to tell us about some of the things that are giving members of the House some angst. But they'll vote on that. And then one of the things that they're proposing is it's kind of a split thing. So there's a full funding for a year for SNAP and WIC, but the continuing resolution actually only goes through the end of January.
So that was something I wanted to ask about, because the continuing resolution, as it was passed to the House, by the House when we started this whole thing 42 days ago, put it through November. So it didn't really make sense to have a continuing reservation through November.
And it was even November 21st, so it was supposed to end right before Thanksgiving, and that's just next week now?
A continuing resolution that lasts another 2 weeks. So, now it's got to go back to the House. This is another dumb question I need to ask. The House doesn't use the filibuster rule. It's a simple majority when we
That's right, in the House.
Through the House.
Yeah, and I understand they used to have the filibuster there, but they did away with it on the House side a long time ago. So one of the other things, and we'll talk about this later in the show as well, is that means that they're going to swear in the new representative from Arizona. And that means there'll be enough votes to force the vote on releasing the Epstein files. So that's another thing that will be happening.
Yeah, Adelita Grijalva, the Democrat from Arizona, who has been waiting in the wings to be sworn in, but
For
the House hasn't
weeks.
been in session. And I'm told she's got some comments she wants to make to Speaker Johnson after she gets sworn in. It doesn't give the Democrats a majority by any means. It puts the numbers at 219 for the Republicans, 214 for the Democrats, 2 still vacant. But there are apparently some Republicans, and I think Marjorie Taylor Greene is an example of those who have said, release the files.
Yeah, Thomas Massey as well. In fact, it was his petition to release those files. But yeah, so today is actually day 43 of the shutdown, and the previous longest one before that was 35 days. And remember, that was a partial shutdown. This is considered a full shutdown. And so I think it's almost double at this point, the previous longest full shutdown.
Let's talk about the difference also in terms of the continuing resolution as it relates to SNAP and WIC programs. I think the Democrats and Republicans agreed that they didn't want those programs to go into to go on hold if there's another government shutdown.
Well, what they did was you have a continuing resolution just through the end of January, but they also had 3 actual budget bills, and one of them includes funding for SNAP and WIC for a year. It's not like it's forever, right? But so at least it protects them through the end of January, where we may have another shutdown. I mean, potentially, certainly one would hope that would not happen, but it's a possibility.
Right. And then there were some discussions about how federal employees who were furloughed or laid off or were without pay during the shutdown would be treated. And it seems to me that the idea is to get as many of them back to work as possible and to get many back employed as possible and to try to make up the lost income that they were not paid during the 43 days.
Yeah, I think that is the case, and we'll have to follow that because, of course, we know that there was some discussion. We talked with Cami Mondo about this previously. There was some discussion about saying the people who were furloughed actually wouldn't get any money, so the ones who were not working wouldn't get back pay. I haven't seen that is actually a proposal that is going to move forward. I don't think it is. But, one of the sticking points and one of the reasons that Democrats are so mad is because they really were holding out on these health care subsidies for Obamacare or the ACA, right? It's the same thing. And they felt like what ended up happening is they got nothing. They got no agreements from the Republicans except to say, okay, we'll have a discussion and a vote on this at a later date. And so there are people from within the Democratic Party who are saying this is absolutely not okay. This was, just caving. We got nothing from it. And I think as you look at polling, right, you've said this multiple times on the show, both sides are to blame. I think, it's interesting because after last week's election results, the Democrats did very well in many places around the country. And so they felt like that maybe gave them some wind in their sails to, hold the line.
Yeah, you'd almost think that'd give them some wind in their sails to like you say, keep the shutdown in place. But it almost seemed to have done the opposite. The Democrats did get a little bit of a concession, like you say, SNAP and WIC, and the continuing resolution going into January instead of ending in a couple of weeks here. And the idea that we would at least revisit that. But going back to we would revisit the subsidies to the Affordable Care Act. But it still remains to be a fact that there are a huge number of Americans that are going to lose those subsidies or did lose those November 1st, that were on Affordable Care Act and no longer will qualify.
I think the subsidies go in to effect on January 1st, but it was the SNAP payments that stopped on November 1st. So there were no SNAP payments. So that's an ongoing conversation as well. And the Trump administration is trying to get the Supreme Court to weigh in. They've agreed to a pause on these payments, but it looks like it's going to be resolved relatively quickly. The question is, of course, how long is it going to take for that money to actually make it back to those accounts?
Last question, sort of rhetorical. Is this a win or a loss for Trump? Do you think he's thinking this is a good thing?
They're going to claim victory, but
right.
I know that last week after the election, he was telling Republicans this is because of the shutdown, right? This is a result of the shutdown. So I know, look, I'm seeing mixed things across the board, and that people are generally saying there's no winners in this situation. Everybody lost in this situation, including the American public.
I was going to say the public certainly lost when we were shut down, no government, and we lost so many benefits, and so many people lost really income during that period of time.
Yeah, so many things. So we're going to talk about the redistricting ruling by Judge Diana Gibson when we come back. And, I want to ask you, Greg, about the legal process and what legal steps are available after the break.
Hi, this is Derek Overstreet, president of the New Millennium Group and co-host of Stop Working, Start Living with KSL News Radio. Can you imagine what your life would be like if you could retire 3 to 5 years earlier than you thought possible? The things you could do, the loved ones you could spend time with, the memories that you could create. That's what our team at the New Millennium Group does. We'll walk you through the entire process every step of the way. If you'd like to get a copy of the 5-step proprietary plan that will help you retire 3 to 5 years sooner than you thought possible, give us a shout right now. 888-999-6370. That's 888-999-6370 or utahsfinancialplanner.com. Listen, most of our listeners right now have a tax problem, not a money problem. There's not enough money in Social Security Medicare as it is. Let us show you how you can significantly reduce your taxes. That's 888-999-6370, 888-999-6370, or utahsfinancialplanner.com.
250 years ago, a promise was made to connect families and friends near and far. And during the holidays, that promise is more important than ever. That's why USPS is building a better network to meet your needs with timely deliveries, easy and affordable ways to ship, and everything you need to make your season full of holiday cheer. Our purpose is delivering your peace of mind, knowing your love will arrive, bringing joy to all. The United States Postal Service. Learn more at USPS.com/holidays.
Workdays can be unpredictable, but your workwear shouldn't be. With the Cintas Apparel Plus program, you'll have freshly laundered garments for everyone on your team delivered every week. Cintas has workwear for just about any job imaginable, with high-performance fabrics and an uncompromising fit that stretches and moves with you. Don't leave looking and feeling good to chance. Visit Cintas.com.
Oh, I'm ready!
And get ready for the workday.
Fresh off its UK tour. Over 200 sold-out performances. The Covey invites you to step back in time to see the true story of the boy band that changed music forever. See The Osmonds, a new musical, in its exclusive North American premiere. A national theatrical event that starts right here in Provo in March 2026. Go behind the scenes and see the Osmonds as they rise to fame with hits like Yo-Yo, Crazy Horses, and Puppy Love. And see the mistake that brought it all crashing to the ground. A tale of redemption, family, and sacrifice, as told by Jay Osmond himself. The North American premiere of The Osmonds, a new musical, coming to the Covey in March 2026. Presented in cooperation with the Utah Office of Tourism. Get tickets at coveycenter.org.
You're listening to Leaf Filter Radio, and the guru of gutter protection himself, Chris Cunahan, is here to take your most pressing leaf-related questions and bring you a special Black Friday offer.
Hey, everybody, Chris here. I understand we have Ron on the line. Ron, where are you calling from?
Uh-oh. Ron, are you calling from a ladder?
Well, I was. I wanted to ask Chris what I need to do to get my gutters ready to have Leaf Filter installed.
Oh, Ron, you don't have to do anything. A Leaf Filter Trusted Pro will come out and clean out your gutters, realign and seal your gutters, and install Leaf Filter, America's #1 gutter protection system.
So I didn't need to get on this ladder?
Ron, Leaf Filter Trusted Pros are in your neighborhood and ready to help. Just visit leaffilter.com/deal to schedule your free gutter inspection and get up to 30% off.
Thank goodness. What was that site?
That's leaffilter.com/deal. And now, as a special Black Friday offer, you can get a free gutter inspection, plus up to 35% off. This is our best offer of the season. Unlock it now at leaffilter.com/deal. See representative for warranty details.
Over the years, you've brought them into your home. You were prescribed opioids after the C-section, when Dad injured his back, when your basketball star tore his ACL. Opioids helped with the pain, and you held on to them just in case. But did you know holding on to unused opioids puts your family at risk? Opioids are powerful pain-reducing prescription medicines, but most people who are prescribed opioids don't finish their prescriptions. So millions of unused opioids are sitting in homes across the country. And tragically, more than 100 Americans die every day from overdoses involving opioids. What can you do to protect your family? Remove the risk of unused opioids from your home. Pills, patches, or syrups in drawers, purses, and cabinets, anywhere they might be hiding. To find out how to dispose of them properly, visit www.fda.gov/drug disposal.
Common Spirit Health. Hospitals, clinics, and caregivers all connected to advance healthcare in Colorado, Kansas, and Utah. Healthcare with human kindness is here. Hello, human kindness.
And expanded Inside Sources. Inside Sources.
You know, so much happened when I was gone. I was
know.
afraid you'd be without news, but the government is back up to speed. At least it probably will be shortly, maybe even today. A redistricting decision finally came down by the judge. It's got a lot of Republicans upset. It was a little bit of a different decision than I had expected. Maybe I was a little bit naive thinking that the Republicans had coalesced enough and given a good enough map that she would pick that.
Yeah.
I think it was map C.
Yeah.
The experts certainly came in. She issued this, I'm talking about Judge Diana Gibson of the Utah's 3rd Judicial District Court, a 91-page opinion that I actually read and I thought was really interesting and telling. She did such a good job of outlining Utah law, Utah constitutional law, and what the experts said on each side, but she ended up picking a map that was proposed by the plaintiffs. And by the way, Holly, this was not the map, not exactly the map that even the Redistricting Commission came up with itself.
And they couldn't use those maps, and there was a number of reasons why, but they had to come up with a different map, and so that is part of what the discussion has been. And discussion is a very polite word to say what's been happening.
Yeah. Yesterday, we spoke on this program with GOP Chair Rob Axson, who shared some pretty strong opinions about the decision.
Here's what I want to make abundantly clear, though. Strong opinions and strong opposition does not mean that we have to be angry at one another. We can be adamantly frustrated and angry at the situation, but this is one that I won't shy away from. And it's no personal condemnation of Judge Gibson. She just is an epic failure as a jurist right now.
I think
Nothing personal.
It sounds to me like that's a personal condemnation. Right. And I mentioned that yesterday when he was on the phone.
Right. He did follow up by saying that he believed the decision was what he calls judicial overreach.
You look at the situation, if we care about outcomes, if we care about things going our way, we need to believe in the process. We need to believe in the rules that are laid out on what allows us to move forward. And we have constitutional structure. We have separation of powers. We have a Utah Constitution and a U.S. Constitution. And when you have an unelected judge who decides to be the executive and the legislature all from the bench, that's blurring those lines in a way that is not beneficial to the state of Utah. So again, I wish her the best personally, but here she missed the mark. Article 6, Section 2 of the Utah Constitution lays out that the sole authority of drafting maps for our legislative districts and our congressional districts is held by the legislature. By not even adhering to a map that was passed by them under duress on her orders, she is now taking that authority away from the representatives of Utahns and giving it to unelected individuals. It's not even going to the redistricting commission that was passed by Prop 4. It's going to the plaintiffs, the League of Women Voters. What right does that group have to draft maps that are not accountable to the rest of Utahns? We as voters deserve to have a voice in this, and that is through our legislature.
You know what's hard for me as a lawyer and a member of the bar, Holly, is the criticism that judges take. And so when I listen to what Axson said, and I like Rob, he's been a good friend of the program. He's an outspoken GOP member. He's not afraid to speak his mind, and I think he's a good representative of the Utah Republicans. It's the same comments we heard 3 years ago when Judge Stone put a stay on Utah's trigger law.
Yeah.
And that was the law that was passed after Roe versus Wade was flipped over, and that was no longer the law of the land. Utah legislature had a trigger law, a law that was basically already in effect that said we're going to change Utah's laws as it relates to reproductive rights. A judge put that on hold. We heard almost the virtually same argument then. 2 years ago, we heard argument about a judge who had put Utah's transgender athlete ban on hold for a little while. legislature comes in, they say this is an activist judge, you can't do this. And then even recently, the most recent opinion was a judge that put the Utah Fits All school voucher program on hold.
Yeah.
And the legislature, who are these judges? Who are these people? I mean,
so there are a separation of powers, right? There's supposed to be. And one of the things that's part of the conversation, other states do elect their judges. Utah, they're appointed, but they're also approved by the Utah Senate. And so in Judge Gibson's case, and we've talked about this before, but in her case, she was appointed by Republican Governor Gary Herbert. She was confirmed unanimously by the Utah Senate, Republican dominated, of course. And so now all of a sudden she is this horrible activist judge. But look, this is what's concerning to me. Calls for her to be impeached. And because they don't like a decision. I understand that people are really upset, but there are threats to her. There are threats to, open online threats to her and to the lieutenant governor, who has said, I expect that there will be an appeal process, but I've been court ordered to implement these maps for the 2026 election cycle. And people are basically like, well, you shouldn't do that.
Yeah. Here's another thing about Judge Gibson. And I don't know her personally enough to make any comments at all, but Utah just appointed a brand new Supreme Court justice.
Yeah, that's right.
A year ago, Judge Diana Gibson would have been one of the front runners for that position. And she had to know that being handed this case, which she did not ask for, which she did not request in any way, which she did not even stand in line hoping to get. She was one of 18 or 20 third district court judges, and the roulette wheel spun and it landed on her, and she had to know at that minute she had no chance of meeting her dream and being on the Utah Supreme Court. She may never have that. Now we're talking about impeachment. So these judges, they don't pick cases. Judges are reactive. They're not proactive. They can't come in and say, hey, boy, I'd sure like to deal with the redistricting case. A case is filed, it runs through the system, and is assigned to a judge, and it could have been any of those judges.
Yeah.
I've heard some legislators who have indicated there's something wrong with the way this wheel is being spun, and it's going to these more liberal-thinking judges. That is absolutely impossible.
Mm-hmm.
You cannot do that.
Interesting.
I'd love to be able to pick my judges. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
on
right?
criminal
Yeah.
cases, because you know those that are more sensitive and those that are not. Then you get these kind of cases like this, and you think, boy, you don't want to be the judge when that case comes across the table.
Yeah,
And
please
all of a
not
sudden-
me. Yeah.
Right, yeah. But anybody but me. But so we talk about, okay, what can the legislature do?
They can appeal, right?
Well, yeah, and they certainly will. Maybe they have already, or maybe they will today.
Well, yesterday was a federal holiday and everything was closed, so maybe today.
Right, yeah, maybe today they'll file an appeal, and then it remains to be seen whether the Utah Supreme Court can and will jump in quickly enough.
Yeah.
The lieutenant governor's already said her deadline was November 10th.
Right.
That's 2 days ago.
Yep.
She had to get the information out for the ballots, not necessarily ballots by any means, but she wanted to get the information so she could start printing them and putting together, candidate lists or voting lists and whatnot.
Right, that's right.
So that was tough for her. I don't know that the Supreme Court of Utah, and I've even heard some comments that the legislature may go to the Supreme Court of the United States. The Supreme Court of the United States is not going to weigh in on Utah Constitution unless it runs afoul of the federal Constitution, which in this case I don't see an argument to be made for that.
So one of the questions that I've heard and we heard on our show yesterday when we were talking about this decision was this is not the Citizens Initiative and Prop 4 is not the same as constitutional authority granted to the legislature. But I thought that it was a constitutional change under Proposition 4.
Right. I mean that's the problem that we had. I mean, and that's what people were talking about is this whole Proposition 4, and we're talking about a ballot initiative to make a constitutional change. We don't do that. I mean, constitutional changes require something much more than that. And the whole idea behind Prop 4, and I'm not answering your question at all, is what who makes laws, legislatures or citizens? And we had this huge battle over legislators saying, hey, people vote us in to do this very thing.
Right.
It's not like we're We're a democracy where the citizens.
It's not a straight democracy. Right. It's a representative republic.
Right. Yeah. So, I mean, I think we learned a lot from this whole thing. I think the legislature is going to make it much harder to get ballot initiatives across the table. Maybe constitutionally, maybe the voters will do the same thing because thinking, do we really want to go through this every couple of years now?
Yeah, that's interesting. And still, I mean, I think the fundamental question remains, who has the right to draw the maps? And the legislature saying that sole authority resides with them. And so basically everything that has happened has been against the Utah Constitution. So anyway.
And we can always say, and I know we're running out of time, the Constitution may say the legislature does this, but there are limits to everything. There are boundaries to everything, and sometimes you just have to test those, and maybe that's what happened here. Speaking of testing boundaries, you talked earlier about the fact that the House, the United States House of Representatives, has a slightly different makeup than it did a week ago. What difference is that going to make in terms of dealing with the Epstein files? We'll talk about that after the break.
9:30 at KSL News Radio. I'm Amanda Dixon. Our top story this hour, the House is expected to vote on a measure that will fund the government today. But before that vote, the newly elected Democrat who is expected to sign on to a petition to force a vote on releasing all of the DOJ's files on Jeffrey Epstein will be sworn in.
The last signature needed on that discharge petition that would force the revote of the release of the Department of Justice's Epstein files, tens of thousands of pages of other records. That last individual will be sworn in today, Representative-elect Adelita Grijalva. She hasn't taken her seat for 7 weeks now, despite winning a special election to take her father's seat. She will be sworn in by the Speaker today. She says that she will be, as one of her first acts, the last signature on that discharge petition to force that vote. It starts the clock ticking on that vote, expected to come in the coming weeks.
ABC's Jay O'Brien reporting. Local stories we're following. A man driving through Utah from Minnesota is accused of transporting over 100 pounds of marijuana through the state. KSL News Radio's Brianna Willis reports.
On Monday, Christopher John Mathiowicz was charged with possession of over 100 pounds of marijuana, a second-degree felony, and got a third-degree felony charge for possessing a gun as a restricted person. On October 27th, Mathiowicz was pulled over near Echo Reservoir after police say he failed to dim his high beams for oncoming traffic. They searched his car after smelling marijuana and say they found 133 pounds of raw marijuana and 400 pre-rolled joints and a handgun. Live, Brianna Willis, KSL News Radio.
Your money at this moment. The Dow is up 340 at this hour. We're at 48,268. Coming up, we've got some warmer temperatures for the next couple of 3 days. We'll check KSL weather next. KSL News Time, 9:32. A reminder about the simplest way to get updated for your day.
Hit your KSL preset when you jump in the car, and we'll take care of the rest.
Hear key news updates and traffic reports.
Andy and Amanda from 5 to 9 in your car.
KSL News Radio at 102.7 FM.
Hard to believe, but Black Friday's here, and you know what that means. It's time for Black Friday money deals at UCCU.
There is an annual tradition now for Black Friday at UCCU where people look forward to, because unlike other Black Friday sales, Black Friday at UCCU is your chance to actually improve your finances.
Like a home equity loan with extra 0.25% off the intro rate, auto and RV loans with no payment for 90 days, low-rate credit cards with 0% interest for 6 months, and $150 cash just for signing up for direct deposit.
It's so easy, and that's just the beginning of Black Friday money deals. Keep going to uccu.com every week for new premium deals that will unlock, and they're things like cutting your auto loan rate in half to earning a higher interest rate on your savings. Enter each week for a chance to win these awesome prizes.
But you got to visit uccu.com every week, but if you come back and enter every time a new deal unlocks, you can win them all. So don't just enter once, go every week, unlock every deal, and win big this Black Friday at UCCU.
UCCU, you're going to love where you bank.
Tim Jr. here from RGS Exteriors. Did you know that we offer 3 distinct styles of gutter protection? Each one meant to handle a specific leaf problem. You might not even know there are different styles of gutter protection, but there are. And if you pick the wrong one, it could be a huge waste of money. Now, the big gutter guard companies won't tell you this. They try to sell you a one-size-fits-all gutter guard. And it could be completely wrong for the amount and types of trees and leaves you have. Not RGS Exteriors. We understand which kind of leaf problem needs which kind of gutter guard. We'll do an in-depth evaluation to assess the types, locations, and numbers of trees in your yard. Based on that data, we match your home to the right gutter guard. So don't risk wasting money on the wrong gutter protection. For a free evaluation and estimate, call RGS Exteriors at 801-280-3110 or visit rgsexteriors.com. That's 801 280-3110 or rgsexteriors.com.
Hey, this is Dan, the laptop man from PC Laptops. Let me tell you an amazing story. Last week, a customer came in. They were a creative director for an agency, and they were frustrated that their old, slow computer wasn't processing their files quick enough. He had a big project due and could not afford any delays. Well, we hooked him up with one of our new, powerful 2025 desktops for only $999, and he was able to complete his project with ease. Take one home today. The new 2025 S1 desktop or SM3 laptop for only $999. You heard that right, $999. You get a blazing fast processor, 16 gigs of RAM, and over a terabyte of blazing storage for $999. What else do you get? Lifetime service warranty, and we have 12 months special financing on approved credit. Hurry in right now because supplies are limited, because at PC Laptops, we love you. Just check us out at PCLaptops.com. $999, PCLaptops.com.
Traffic and weather together, brought to you by Mountain America's Visa Triple Rewards. And here's Andy Farnsworth.
Still have a little bit of slowing on I-80 out by Kimball Junction, but now it's not prior to the exit. They must have got those traffic lights fixed going south on SR 224. There is, though, a crash on the right shoulder southbound 215 near the I-80 turnoff coming down from Davis County. We do have a little bit of I-15 northbound slowdowns remaining around 33rd South and South Salt Lake. Tax problems keeping you up at night? Get the IRS off your back. Let Utah Tax Attorney Jordan Wilcox stop IRS harassment now. Visit endtaxworry.com. That's endtaxworry.com.
We have a pretty warm week. Today we'll get up to 63, 69 tomorrow. Much warmer than normal. 65 on Friday, 61 on Saturday. We don't drop into the 50s until Sunday, down to the 40s by Tuesday. Right now it's 50 degrees. I'm Amanda Dixon from the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios. Listen online at kslnewsradio.com. We're Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
The all-new Inside Sources. Inside Sources. Your inside access to the people and policies shaping Utah's future. Here are Greg Skordas and Holly Richardson on KSL News Radio.
We spoke at the top of the hour, Holly, about the fact that the government shutdown, having been seemingly ended by the Senate, is now going to the House today, which means the House is back in session, which means that a newly elected House member, Adelita Grijalva of Arizona, will almost certainly have to be sworn in. That swearing in has been held up for a number of reasons, not the least of which is that the House hasn't been in session. But it makes a big difference in another thing that we're talking about, and I want to get to right now, which is this whole Jeffrey Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell whatever.
Debacle.
I mean, let's face it, it's no matter which party you're with, it's just terrible.
Yeah.
And what it could mean for Trump and what it could mean for his administration when information involving him will be released, and how important that is now that that singular Democratic representative is about to be appointed.
Right. So the reason she's like a linchpin here is because they needed 218 members of the House to sign on a discharge petition, which was actually proposed by a Republican, Thomas Massie, saying, look, we need to release these files. And as you mentioned earlier, Marjorie Taylor Greene is one of the ones that signed on as well. There's a couple of other Republicans. But she will be the 218th person, and that is what they need to be able to force a vote on releasing these Epstein files. So what's interesting is she was elected on September 23rd in a special election to replace her father, who was the previous representative. He passed away in March. And her assertion is that she was not being sworn in because the Speaker, Mike Johnson, didn't want these files released. That's her assertion. He says, no, it's just coincidental. And she was able to point to multiple other instances where people were sworn in, even when the House wasn't in session. And anyway, it's going to happen today. And as you mentioned, she feels like she has some things she needs to say to Mike Johnson.
I'm not sure Johnson came out of that looking particularly good, in as much as it was only a matter of time before the government shutdown ended. Whether it was ended or not, the House can't remain in recess. I mean, you've got to get to business, even if there is a government shutdown. Using that as a seeming excuse for keeping the House in recess didn't make a lot of sense. And now he's got to bite the bullet. And she's going to be sworn in probably today. And like you said, I think she's got some words for for the speaker once that occurs.
One of the things I've seen from her on social media is that she actually thanked Speaker Mike Johnson for bringing so much attention to her that she said basically everybody in the country now knows who I am, right? Otherwise, I would have been like this junior of the most junior members of the House of Representatives, number 433, because you said there's 2 vacancies, right? That nobody would have known anything about, but because just repeatedly over and over and over. In fact, the Arizona Attorney General filed a lawsuit trying to compel Mike Johnson to swear her in, right? Just tons of attention. And so she thanked him for that.
So it's probably no surprise that the timing of this has coincided with the release of some emails by Democrats. And I don't know that I like this particularly either, but we're seeing some emails that have purportedly been released by the Democrats that involve the Epstein clan and Donald Trump.
Yeah, that's right. And the White House hasn't responded to this, but ABC's Jay O'Brien does have some reactions from Republicans.
We haven't heard back yet from the White House on this, but we have heard from Republicans on this committee, the House Oversight Committee. In a statement they just put out, they accused Democrats on this panel who released these files of, quote, carelessly cherry-picking documents to generate, quote, unquote, clickbait. They say they ultimately will release these documents once they go through, redact things like victims' names, etc. And they say, quote, Democrats should stop politicizing this investigation.
I do agree that it was poor
probably
judgment
political
on the part of the Democrats to release those.
Well,
right
look,
now.
we've had this conversation before about this was a whole campaign thing, right? It was a campaign promise from now President Trump that he was going to release all the files, all the Jeffrey Epstein files, all the Martin Luther King files, all the JFK assassination files. Well, he's released 2 of those sets, but not the Epstein files. And in fact, there were a lot of people within the administration now who were saying, yeah, release the files, release the files, release the files. And then all of a sudden there was a turnaround. And now the Republican talking points is like, why are you guys in such a hurry to release these files? But we also know Prince Andrew is now no longer Prince Andrew. He's been stripped of his royal title, of his home where he was living. It's a 30-bedroom home, by the way. And that he now has to fund his own way because of his ties with Epstein's victim, Virginia Giuffre.
And that was no doubt preemptive on the part of the
royal
family
I think it says
to say,
they know
look,
it's bad.
Right, it's about to come out. This information's about to come out. So I'm looking at some of the particular emails, and Republicans are right. You don't cherry pick. Release what you've got. But there's one here that, and it's there. You kind of have to read between the lines here, obviously. But this is an email between Jeffrey Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell, dated April 2nd of 2011. So this is a long time ago. Epstein writes, I want you to realize that dog that hasn't barked is Trump. The victim spent, and doesn't name the victim, spent hours at my house with him. He has never once been mentioned, police chief, etc. I'm 75% there. I think that what he's referring to, obviously, is that we don't hear much from Trump. The police chief doesn't look like they've looked into that very well. He's almost seemingly complaining about the fact that particular investigation, that particular person involved, now President Trump, had sort of dodged the bullet in terms of the inquiry.
Well, I mean, that's been the assertion for a long time that President Trump is in there. And look, we know that there are pictures of President Trump with young women who were underage. We know that he was showing up in dressing rooms for beauty pageants. I mean, we know those things from the first Trump campaign. So it's just, we'll see what happens when the entire set of files is released. So that's also going to happen today, is that she's going to be sworn in.
Right. And then they'll vote. What did you call it? Where they could get...
It's a discharge petition.
Yeah, I've never heard that before.
Well, it's one of the things that you can have on the Hill, right? But this, to have 218 people actually forces them to have a vote, because they called on Mike Johnson to schedule a vote and he wouldn't do it. And so this is another tool in the toolbox for somebody to try and force a vote. And with the way the House is so close, they got all the Democrats and a handful of Republicans.
So it seems obvious that somebody has these files. This information
They have
is there.
the files.
They just can't release them. So, but now somebody has leaked or whatever a couple of emails from the files.
Yeah.
Is that what we're looking at? Is that what these are? Do you think?
Yeah, they're from the files. And there's other information that has been released. So remember, under former President Biden, they released a number of the Epstein files. It wasn't the entire set, but they did release a number. And then when President Trump was sworn in, they re-released basically the same set of files. And people are like, this is the same thing we already have. We know there's more.
Right. And then probably other people than President Trump, Prince Andrew, that will be embarrassed when these...
Prince Andrew is being subpoenaed, so I don't know how that... I mean, sorry. The Andrew who formerly known as Prince.
Prince Andrew, yeah.
He has been subpoenaed, so we'll see how that goes. Look, I have to ask you this question. Did you go outside and look at the Northern Lights last night?
No, I didn't know.
Oh, my gosh.
I would have gone.
Crazy, beautiful. And I didn't think I could see him, but once I took a picture, then I could see there was a little bit. We're going to talk with KSL meteorologist Matt Johnson about the phenomenon, why we can see him, when we come back.
Do you have chirping smoke detectors? What's up, everybody? I'm Mike Wilson with Any Hour Services, and if you've ever experienced chirping smoke detectors, you already know how annoying it can be. A great first step to try and stop the chirping is to change the batteries. If the chirping continues, it's possible that your smoke detector has gone bad. As a matter of fact, a lot of people don't even realize that manufacturers recommend replacing the smoke detector altogether after 10 years. If you remove the smoke detector from the wall, on the back you should find a date of when it was made. Do a little math and you'll know how old it is. Now, Any Hour Services knows being a homeowner means you've got a list a mile long of things to do around the house, and check my electrical system probably isn't one of them. That's why we've put together this radio special for any homeowners listening. One of our licensed electricians will perform a comprehensive inspection of your electrical system that includes testing those smoke detectors and give you a full written report for only $29. But you have to mention this ad when you call. Call Any Hour Services to schedule at 801-443-7300. 801-443-7300. Any Hour Services.
Experience the timeless Christmas classic that has captivated audiences nationwide. From the Michael McLean family to your family. See The Forgotten Carols musical. With an unforgettable story and songs that are a Christmas tradition, come meet our next generation and share the magic of Christmas in Orem, Salt Lake City, Ogden, Tooele, Logan, and Saratoga Springs. Tickets at ForgottenCarols.com.
Hey guys, it's Woodrow from Mint Medical Clinic. Are you struggling with ED? Well, you are not alone, and now there's a real solution that treats the root cause, not just the symptoms. Introducing our Trifecta approach, a breakthrough combination of acoustic wave therapy, hormone replacement, and cryotherapy, all designed to restore blood flow, boost performance, and rebalance your hormones. Whether it's ED or hormonal imbalance, if you're ready to reignite your love life, this treatment helps bring back your energy, your drive, and your confidence. And right now, when you call, you'll receive a free consultation, a blood flow ultrasound, and an intimacy gift. That's a $650 value, absolutely free. And here's the bonus. The next 20 callers will also receive a 5-night stay at a luxury resort in Hawaii just for taking the first step. But you must call now. With 2 convenient locations in Layton and Sandy, help is closer than you think. Call 801-804-8000 now. That's 801-804-8000. Mint Medical Clinic. We'll get you back to mint condition.
Hi, this is Doug Ryden. For years, I've been telling you about products I truly believe in and that we use in our home. And one is Kinetico. We all know the downsides of hard water, tough on home appliances, frustrating spots on shower doors, but it also affects your personality. When you shower, does the water feel invigorating? Hard water can leave your skin feeling sticky and itchy. A Kinetico soft water system changes everything. It's like having a luxurious spa experience when you shower, making your daily routine something you look forward to. Kinetico, it's a difference you can feel. Their patented system uses far less salt than competitors, and they're exclusively focused on water softeners. They're the experts in their field, and they'll show you the difference for free with no obligation to buy. Call Kinetico Quality Water Systems of Salt Lake, an authorized independent dealer, at 801-576-8600, or check them out online at softwaterutah.com. Start enjoying your water. Spoil yourself every day.
Workdays can be unpredictable, but your workwear shouldn't be. With the Cintas Apparel Plus program, you'll have freshly laundered garments for everyone on your team delivered every week. Cintas has workwear for just about any job imaginable. with high-performance fabrics and an uncompromising fit that stretches and moves with you. Don't leave looking and feeling good to chance. Visit Cintas.com.
Oh, I'm ready!
And get ready for the workday.
We know exactly what you're not thinking about right now. Wiper blades. But now that you are, take a moment to think about how Rain-X is the #1 brand of wiper blades in America. Why? Because Rain-X thinks about wiper blades all the time. We obsess, so you don't have to. Simply install our blades and then think about literally anything else. So choose Rain-X, America's #1 wiper blades, and then go back to not thinking about wiper blades. Rain-X. Outsmart the elements.
My savings are gone.
Okay, where were they last?
Here, right before I spent them on that vacation to Aruba.
Weird. Not weird. Not saving now means no money later. For free ways to save, go to feedthepig.org. This message brought to you by the American Institute of CPAs and the Ad Council.
Advanced Window Products offers grabber window covers. High-end quality with the best warranty. Save 30% off when you mention KSL. 801-850-9100 or advancedwindows.com.
Inside Sources.
The thing I miss when I miss this show, among other things, including you, Holly, is just keeping up on what's going on. And last night, I would have been aware of the fact that we had an aurora borealis, the Northern Lights, right here in northern Utah.
And you're so much up in Eden and up in the boonies.
It would have been incredible.
Yeah. So even where I live down in Pleasant Grove, I had several of my friends say, oh my gosh. In fact, my son came back from walking the dog and said, Mom, I could see red lights out there, just that kind of red glow. And I went out, I couldn't see it by the time they got back from the dog walking, but I took my camera and I took a picture. And when the picture showed up, it was my phone camera, there was green. And then on top of that, there was a little bit of red. They weren't super bright, but we have KSL meteorologist Matt Johnson joining us to tell us what is happening. Why are we seeing them? And some of the pictures I've seen are just stunning.
Yeah, and the iPhone's getting a lot better, but one of the biggest differentiators in why we're seeing some photos that are a little more faded, which is actually a lot closer to what you see with the naked eye.
Yeah.
And then others that are a lot more bright, visual, and sharp. It's all about exposure. And the human eye has these specialized receptor cells known as rods and cones. So at night, your rods are engaged for nighttime vision, but whenever your eyes switch over to that, you can see better at night, but the color, the hues of the colors of things goes down because it's more focused on seeing at night. So everything's a little more grayscale. Now, during the day, you have a lot more light. You switch over to cones in your eyes. Those receptors are really good at picking up color, but you need a lot of light for that to happen. And so basically the camera is supercomputer of eyes and can bring in the light and the color at the same time, and then you get everything all at once.
So just a follow-up question. Sorry, Greg. I wanted to know, why are we seeing them so far down? I mean, Utah doesn't typically see the northern lights.
Right. To start, we are in a more active solar cycle. The sun goes in cycles where it's giving off more solar flares than not. It runs in about a 10 to 20-year cycle. Wow. I'm not as educated on that as it pertains to space weather, but we are in an active cycle. So the last 2 years or so, we've been seeing these events come further and further south, and it's because we're seeing more solar activity, more solar winds coming from the sun and impacting the earth. And just the more frequent you have those, the better the chance there is for those guys to come down further south in latitude.
So let me ask you this question, Matt. What are the northern lights? Let me make a comparison, and it's probably an awful one. When I look at the sky after a big storm and I see a rainbow, to me, I can see it. But if I drive toward the rainbow, it's not there anymore, or it continues to move.
Right.
Are the northern lights similar, or is it something fixed? Like if I'm standing underneath the northern lights, will I see them? Do you know what I mean?
Yes.
It's not a phenomena of the environment as I'm looking at it, or maybe it is.
It is, but it's different in the way of a rainbow, because the rainbow, it really matters on vantage point.
Right.
And wherever you move or where the sun angle, all that matters. Everything matters on perception of the rainbow. But in the case of this, where we're actually having tangible molecules get excited from the solar winds interacting with them, you could move around the Earth. You could fly through it, look down and see it again, move to the left.
wow.
It's there. Whereas a rainbow, you are dependent upon the location of the water droplets falling through the sky, that sun angle, and your position in the viewing of that rainbow. And the closer you get to it, the more it starts to become actually faded and kind of widens out because you're no longer at an optimum viewing point. Whereas the aurora borealis is actual tangible molecules in our atmosphere that are getting excited from all sorts of energy that the sun has sent out.
That's so interesting. So the first time I ever saw the Northern Lights, I think I saw them as a teenager when I lived in Northern Michigan, but I saw them really clearly from an airplane once where we could look out the window. We were flying in the dark and it was really, really bright green. What kind of colors happen with the Northern Lights?
Yeah, you can get green, red, blue, basically almost all the colors of the rainbow. I've even seen yellow.
Wow.
And that's really dependent upon the molecules that are available, nitrogen, oxygen, other molecules that are out and about, and also energy levels, like how much plasma, how much solar flare, sun matter, because that's essentially what it is. You get an explosion on the sun's surface and it finally reaches Earth. Then it's interacting with the magnetic field of the Earth. And so energy levels matter, particulate matter matters. and so all those things play in. I'm not remembering exactly which molecules make which color, but it's quite fascinating.
Yeah, super interesting.
One of the things I'm always interested in when it relates to meteorology, Matt, is, and this goes back to my days in college. My first college roommate was studying meteorology, was the idea of forecasting. And there must be something about the environment. There must be something about the cloud pattern or the solar pattern that meteorologists can say, hey, look out the window tonight. You're going to see northern lights. Do you know what I mean? Because otherwise we don't. I mean, is there something that happens that allows you all to forecast those?
Yeah, so basically it's pretty fascinating stuff, actually. So there are, I don't know if they're X-ray vision cameras on looking towards the sun. And basically, from that imagery that's constantly streaming, they can see when we're seeing these solar flares that erupt from the sun's surface. Now, after that, you have to determine which direction is that flare going, because after all, you're in outer space.
Right.
It can shoot in any direction. It's got to be directed at Earth. That's number one. Number two is there are satellites and actual weather stations millions of miles away from Earth so that we can detect how much energy from the sun is actually headed our way. The sun's 92 million miles away, and we have these checkpoints along the way where we can read how much energy is headed our way, what's within it, how fast it's moving, and from there we can draw conclusions through physics. When will it potentially hit Earth? And you're talking about really big numbers. Distance is 92 million. These things are moving. These solar flares are moving at the speed of light or maybe even faster. And so you're trying to gauge, right? And all the meanwhile has to be directed at Earth. And so basically they'll watch the sun. Okay, we got an eruption. It's headed towards us. How fast is it moving? Okay, roughly the time frame is going to be maybe tomorrow, right? The best we have is maybe a 48-hour notice.
Wow.
And even that's questionable. They try to forecast in a way that you have a 7-hour margin that it could come later or 7 hours earlier than the projected forecast time, just because you're working with huge numbers.
Right.
And it has to land at night, right?
Yeah.
Today's solar flare might land during the day on our side of Earth, but you go on the other side, China, Indonesia, Russia, it's probably going to be an amazing show. All that timing matters.
Interesting. Are we going to be able to see them tonight, tomorrow?
Great question. $1 million question today, because this solar flare that's coming is a lot stronger than the one we had yesterday.
Oh, wow.
So it's got a lot more energy, a lot more potential. However, it's looking like it's going to land during midday hours. If the energy can hold on with these solar winds into the sunset and beyond hour, then we'll get a great show. But the fact that it's impacting during the day, that's usually the denser packed solar winds. We'll see, because it could still come later.
When will we know that? I want to see it. I gotta catch this one, Matt. I can't miss another one.
That's a great question. It's I'm going to keep tracking it, tabs on it, but right now it is looking like it's probably going to hit midday. They have left a margin of error that it could arrive a little bit later, simply because it is out there in outer space.
Wow.
But if you are going to watch tonight, your best window is sunset to about 11 p.m.
Wow.
That's your best window.
I have a 15-second question. When are we going to see snow?
Oof. Well, I'm going to say late November, early December.
Okay.
We're still a week or two away.
Yeah, even that isn't set in stone.
It was nice that we did have the wet October, and we've had a little bit of moisture in November. So I think the ground, like you talked about before, is settling in, getting ready for the snow. We'll be in good shape once it comes.
Yeah, I think so.
All right. Thank you, Matt. That was Matt Johnson, KSL meteorologist. When we come back after the break, we are going to go back to something we talked about earlier, which is redistricting, what that means, what it's going to mean for Utah, and we'll have an expert with us after the break.
KSL Common Spirit.
KSL Salt Lake City.
From the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios, this is KSL News Radio.
Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
10 o'clock at KSL News Radio. I'm Amanda Dixon. KSL's top story this hour. Salt Lake City police have arrested a woman who's accused of trying to kidnap a baby in a stroller. Kylie Daniel Burnham is now facing attempted kidnapping and assault charges after prosecutors claim she tried pulling a 3-week-old baby stroller away from his grandmother. Burnham was already awaiting trial for drug-related charges. Prosecutors are asking that she be held without bail. Our top national story this hour from ABC News. Democrats on the House committee investigating Jeffrey Epstein have released a series of emails that reference President Trump. In one email written in 2011, Epstein wrote to his now convicted accomplice, Ghislaine Maxwell, that Trump spent hours at his house with him. ABC's Jay O'Brien has more.
We haven't heard back yet from the White House on this, but we have heard from Republicans on this committee, the House Oversight Committee. In a statement they just put out, they accused Democrats on this panel who released these files of, quote, carelessly cherry-picking documents to generate, quote, unquote, clickbait. They say they ultimately will release these documents once they go through, redact things like victims' names, etc. And they say, quote, Democrats should stop politicizing this investigation.
Your money at this moment. The Dow is up 333 points right now. We're at 48,259. Coming up, warm but hazy. KSL weather is next. KSL News Time, 10:02.
The sources where we get our news matters.
When you listen to Utah's Morning News, we want you to feel the stories are important to you and trustworthy. This is Amanda Dixon.
And I'm Andy Farnsworth. Join us weekday mornings on KSL News Radio.
If you're ready to buy a home or sell a home and you're worried about the current real estate market because of what you've heard from some of your friends or family, well, we're here to tell you that you really shouldn't be worried, because now is a great time to buy and sell with our friends at the Stern Team, powered by Almada Real Estate.
And here's why. Buyers have more options due to increased inventory, which gives them the power to negotiate for repairs, interest rate buy-downs, and closing cost assistance. While at the same time, sellers are still getting top dollar for their homes, with home values that are higher today than ever before. So whether you're looking to buy or sell, the current real estate market presents a win-win opportunity for both buyers and sellers.
But you still do want to make sure that you're working with a team of real estate experts you can trust that can get you some great results. And that's our friends at the Stern Team, powered by Almada Real Estate.
They have helped thousands of Salt Lake City homeowners, and they're ready to help you. To get started, just go to thesternteam.com. That's thesternteam.com, or Google The Stern Team.
You've got your whole life ahead of you. So choose a Medicare plan you can count on. And that's what you get with a Medicare Advantage plan from United Healthcare. With more than 45 years' experience serving its members, United Healthcare has plans with low monthly premiums that fit your life today and as your needs change tomorrow. The Medicare annual enrollment period ends December 7th, so go to uhc.com/Medicare today. United Healthcare Medicare plans. It's Medicare coverage Utah can count on.
Workdays can be unpredictable, but your workwear shouldn't be. With the Cintas Apparel Plus program, you'll have freshly laundered garments for everyone on your team delivered every week. Cintas has workwear for just about any job imaginable, with high-performance fabrics and an uncompromising fit that stretches and moves with you. Don't leave looking and feeling good to chance. Visit Cintas.com
Oh, I'm ready.
And get ready for the workday.
Oh no, stomach issues again?
Stomach issues?
Who are you?
Your pancreas. I could be the real reason for your diarrhea, gas, bloating, stomach pain, or loose oily stools.
I thought it was my stomach.
People often do, but any of these symptoms could mean having a condition called exocrine pancreatic insufficiency, or EPI. With EPI, the pancreas doesn't release enough enzymes to break down food, but EPI is manageable. Use the symptom checker on identifyepi.com and speak with your doctor. That's identifyepi.com. Sponsored by AbbVie.
Higher taxes, soaring inflation, record low interest rates, and the skyrocketing cost of healthcare. The list goes on. Retiring successfully today is a lot more complicated than ever before. Learn how you can tackle the biggest challenges that you'll face in retirement today. Don't miss a special edition of Retirement Solutions Radio. It's this Saturday afternoon at 3 o'clock, right here on KSL, News Radio 1027.
Traffic and weather together, brought to you by Mountain America's Visa Triple Rewards. And back to you, Andy.
Most of our delays have cleared. South 15 still has a little bit of heavy traffic around 2300 North in Salt Lake City. Then it's clear into downtown from there. Got a little bit of a delay approaching the freeway right now, 123rd South eastbound just before you get to I-15. Utah County Freeway and major city street arteries are pretty clear at the moment. No matter the weather, your feet can feel fantastic. Find the Good Feet location nearest you at goodfeet.com.
Mostly cloudy today with a high of 63, even warmer tomorrow at 69. And a storm that was going to come in on Friday appears to be losing some steam. Now there's just a 30% chance of showers on Friday. Looks like we'll have rain to start off next week, though. Right now it's 54 degrees. I'm Amanda Dixon from the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios. Listen online at kslnewsradio.com. We're Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
The all-new Inside Sources. Inside Sources. Your inside access to the people and policies shaping Utah's future. Here are Greg Skordas and Holly Richardson on KSL News Radio.
Well, Utah's political landscape certainly took a shift this week after Judge Diana Gibson issued her ruling Monday night regarding the redistricting issue. And what she did was she released a 91-page ruling. She threw out the map that was proposed by the legislature and introduced a map drawn by the League of Women Voters. Importantly, Holly, a lot of people said, well, why did the judge get to draw the map? She didn't draw the map, right, but she was forced to, at some point, hear the argument and select a map from among those that were proposed by the plaintiffs and the defendants in that case.
Well, we have somebody with us that knows a ton about Utah politics. That's the director of the Hinckley Institute, Jason Perry. Welcome, Jason.
So good to be with both of you.
I want to just ask you right off the bat, how does this ruling impact the makeup of Utah politics?
Well, you are so right to think it is all of Utah politics. I mean, let's start at the federal level, where you have very small majorities for the Republicans in the House, for example. As of today, when we have one person sworn in as a Democrat, it'll be 219 to 214, already very close. We see what happens with Congress right now when you have slim majorities. That may change. Prop 50 in California may bring 5 more Democrats based on how they're drawing their lines. So the very balance of power in Congress is going to be impacted. But I'll just tell you, the local impacts will be potentially significant also. If you look at this first congressional district as is on the plaintiff's map that was selected here. If you have a Democrat running in that race right there, there's going to be a lot of turnout. And there are a lot of Republicans in their Senate and House seats right there that are looking at dramatically increasing numbers of people voting, and it could influence some of those races as well.
Yeah, so that was really interesting, and I was surprised, Jason, that the judge did find that map to be the one that made the most sense, because it did make the most sense, let's face it, in terms of what the experts had said. But do we hear now that some Democrats are actually showing some interest in the 2026 race, that not only as potential candidates, but just as voters, because so many Democrats, it seems, have switched sides so that they can participate in a primary, they can be involved in the process earlier?
Yeah, that's a good observation. And you look at what's happened over the past couple of years, and if this map is the one that goes forward. It is the most competitive seat that we have had in Utah in 25 years. And so those Democrats who may have been on the sideline or they're registering as Republicans so they could have an impact on a race, they may look at something like this as a prime opportunity for them to re-engage on the voter side. But we also know that there are a few Democrats that have been wanting to run for one of these offices that are sending out emails already. They're starting to call their friends and the family, starting to have some of those conversations. So I think it may change all of that.
So let me ask you this question. It seems to me like this looks like the donut hole, right, around the northern part of Salt Lake County. And you mentioned that this may increase turnout, but would that not already favor the Democrats who tend to represent that area already?
Well, look at what's happening with this map right here. This is Salt Lake County. This is the donut, which is different than what we've had, as we all know, for a very long time. Our legislature has preferred the pizza approach, where you have a mix of urban and rural. But we have had in Salt Lake County itself, we've had Democratic mayors since 2013, to your point, Holly. This area does have Democrats in those particular positions, but this has the capacity, if you do have a true donut, which is what this map is, highly concentrated district in an area that holds a good portion of the Democrats in the state.
So, Jason, what about the 4 current Republican legislators? And Utah doesn't have a requirement that you live within your legislative district. So when it comes time, and that time is coming up very soon, I think as early as
beginning of January.
Yeah. When candidates need to file, what do? Do they pick the district they want to run in? And if so, could we potentially have a primary between, say,
a Burgess Owens
and Celeste Malloy or Kennedy?
You could. That is one of the most interesting things about all of this is a sitting member of Congress may be running against another one if they decide to pick one of those districts. Everything is on the table right now, and there's no certainty at all. I've personally talked to all of our delegation about these particular spots, and during these court cases, they were saying we're sort of just in a wait-and-see mode right now, and we'll have a difficult decision to make at some point. It's just not today. And it's absolutely right. Depending on where they live, that's where you start normally. You say, well, I'll just run in the district where I live, but there could be some overlap there.
Were you surprised at this ruling by the judge?
I really was. Because the legal issues are just so interesting. And, Greg, you've talked about those so well on the program, too. But when the ruling here that right out of the gates talked about this, she called it extreme gerrymandering. And the way this was set up, she was going to have to work on a map. I was a little surprised. I will say that it's this one, because there are a couple of different approaches she could have taken on what map to choose, and she did it just right under the wire, half hour before the deadline. And I was a little surprised that it was this particular map.
Yeah, I did notice, Jason, that she did quite a thorough analysis of what the experts had said. She went through what the experts from both the plaintiffs and the defendants had testified to in support of her decision, because let's face it, she doesn't want to be the one that just makes the decision in a vacuum. And so she talked about the experts. But even the donut hole, the district that seems to be now at least competitive for Democrats, I saw something yesterday that said in that district there are 34% registered Republicans, 25% registered Democrats. So it's not a sure thing by any means that a Democrat will come out of that, is it?
No. Well, in politics, of course, nothing is. But to your great point, this would be the most competitive district that we have seen in quite some time. But it's never a given, and it really does depend on the candidate that comes forward. And Greg, as you mentioned that, I've talked with legislators through last night that have gone through the potential races. And even in the Democratic Party, if you look at Salt Lake County itself, the kind of Democrat that gets put forward is going to greatly impact that race. That is not a district that's necessarily looking for a moderate Democrat. It could be they're looking for someone who's much more liberal as well, given the makeup of that. So one, it has the possibility of changing, but who the candidate is going to be the biggest question.
You know, I have one last question for you. Will this map stand?
Poor Jason.
Thank you, Holly, for that.
Yeah.
So the only thing I could probably say on that is this question is not over. At the heart of this is whose power is it to write these lines? And I think the courts are going to have a lot to say. The map is one of the key questions, but I think just as big, maybe even a little bigger, is who gets to keep that power going forward. And we're only a few years away from the next census. Many are projecting we may be just that many years away from maybe getting a fifth seat here in Utah. This is a power that no one is going to let go of too quickly or easily.
Yeah, thank you so much for joining us. That was Jason Perry, the director of the Hinckley Institute of Politics, talking about this political earthquake in Utah with this new map. Speaking of politics, so Mill Creek now has a new mayor, Sherry Jackson. She was sworn in on Monday, and she came after Jeff Silvestrini, who was the original mayor for Mill Creek as it became a city. He's going to join us when we come back after this break.
You're listening to Leaf Filter Radio, and the guru of gutter protection himself, Chris Cunahan, is here to take your most pressing leaf-related questions and bring you a special Black Friday offer.
Hey, everybody, Chris here. I understand we have Ron on the line. Ron, where are you calling from?
Uh-oh. Ron, are you calling from a ladder?
Well, I was. I wanted to ask Chris what I need to do to get my gutters ready to have Leaf Filter installed.
Oh, Ron, you don't have to do anything. A Leaf Filter Trusted Pro will come out and clean out your gutters, realign and seal your gutters, and install Leaf Filter, America's #1 gutter protection system.
So I didn't need to get on this ladder?
Ron, Leaf Filter Trusted Pros are in your neighborhood and ready to help. Just visit leaffilter.com/radio to schedule your free gutter inspection and get up to 30% off.
Thank goodness. What was that site?
That's leaffilter.com/radio. And now, as a special Black Friday offer, you can get a free gutter inspection, plus up to 35% off. This is our best offer of the season. Unlock it now at leaffilter.com/radio. See representative for warranty details.
For over 22 years, speaking on business on KSL News Radio has been a beloved tradition, celebrating our heroic business leaders and Utah consumers who have helped build one of the strongest state economies in the nation. Now, under the stewardship of the Salt Lake Chamber and hosted by Chamber President and CEO Derek Miller, the program continues to shine a spotlight on those who make Utah's business environment dynamic and thriving. With his expertise and passion, Derek brings the stories of our business community to life. As part of the Salt Lake Chamber, Speaking on Business is proud to continue its legacy of highlighting inspiring stories, trends, and special guests. Support Utah businesses now and be part of Utah's thriving economy. More information can be found at slchamber.com. That's slchamber.com.
Most folks wait till January to say, I should probably fix this or do something about how you feel. But you know what? You're going to go into 2026 with the resolution already done because Soda helps you lose the weight now, so your New Year's all celebration.
You and I both started our Soda weight loss journey in October and November, right? And I loved going into holiday parties knowing I had a plan. It wasn't just, I'm going to try not to. It was, this is my plan, because I've spoken with a nutritionist and I get a jump start on that, first of the year goal by beginning Soda weight loss right now.
Yeah, there's no guesswork. You're supported every step of the way, and you need that. And right now, there's an amazing offer from Soda for you and your partner. You join, and your partner joins for free.
So why gain 20 pounds just to lose it in the new year? Go to Soda Weight Loss today and begin today.
That's sodaweightloss.com, SOTA weightloss.com, because Soda is, say it with me, Amanda, state of the art.
Tired of hearing scary radio ads about the IRS? Tax Relief Advocates is different. TRA is here to tell you that if you owe money to the IRS, whether it's $5,000 or $500,000, we have a solution. TRA can eliminate or reduce what you owe to the IRS with zero risk to you. We have over 1,000 5-star reviews on Google and an A+ with a BBB. End your tax nightmare today by visiting TRA.com or call 800-583-6681. That's 800-583-6681.
Makita knows that pros never settle, and neither do we. With Makita, you get tools that perform at the highest level on every job without compromise. Makita is for the most detailed pros, expertly engineered to deliver precision, job after job. When your work calls for the best, call on Makita. Makita, built to be the best. Available at the Home Depot.
Most of us like to be out in the sun. That's why sunscreen and other safety measures are key to protecting your skin from aging and cancer. The FDA recommends using a sunscreen with a sun protection factor, or SPF, of 15 or higher. Also, look for broad spectrum on the label. That means both harmful ultraviolet A and B rays are blocked. UVA rays age the skin, UVB rays burn, and both cause cancer. But the perfect sunscreen doesn't count if you use it wrong. Don't need sunscreen on a cloudy day? Wrong. 80% of UV rays still get through the haze. Only use sunscreen at the beach? Nope. Anytime you're outside, UV rays attack the skin, so you need protection. And you have to reapply sunscreen every 2 hours. Remember, SPF plus broad spectrum equal healthy fun in the sun. Visit www.fda.gov/sunscreen for more information. A message from the U.S. Food and Drug Administration.
Common Spirit Health. Hospitals, clinics, and caregivers all connected to advance healthcare in Colorado, Kansas, and Utah. Healthcare with human kindness is here. Hello, human kindness.
Inside Sources. Inside Sources.
I remember about 8 or 9 years ago, Holly, a friend of mine and a very prestigious local lawyer, Jeff Silvestrini, was practicing law at the top of his game, and suddenly I hear that this man wants to run for and become the first mayor of Mill Creek, Utah, and I'm thinking, what is he thinking, and why would he do that? And what are we now, like 8 years later? He sort of built this whole city around his model, and I think he's done incredibly well. But he sacrificed a lot to get there.
Yeah, I did not know that you knew him as a mayor. So,
as a lawyer, yeah.
As a lawyer, that's what I mean. That's what I mean.
Very good lawyer, yes. And so he is apparently stepping down. He's issued some words about his tenure there, and a new mayor has been sworn in. This is one of the city council members,
that's right.
Sherry Jackson, who will serve out the balance of his term. And I think we're about 2 years into a 4-year term right now.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. And we have the former mayor on the line, Jeff Silvestrini. So welcome to our show. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you, guys.
So Jeff, as you look
Greg,
back,
you're too kind, Greg.
Well, I remember the day you had a huge name in the legal community. You still do, but you've done such a great job up there at Mill Creek. Could you tell us, Jeff, what kind of got you into that, and what stands out as you look back now on your term while you were there, your terms?
So a couple things. I mean, first of all, after advocating for Mill Creek to incorporate into a city, I kind of felt some responsibility to make sure that it got off to a good start, and I kind of thought I might be able to do that. And then the other thing is that I had people on both sides of that incorporation divide approach me and ask me to run, basically. So it was that when the anti-incorporation leadership came and took me to breakfast and said, okay, you got this now, you need to run for mayor, I took that seriously. But I'll tell you what, it was an exciting thing to do, kind of scary to start a new city, but it's been one of the most gratifying things I've ever done and the highlight of my career, and I really enjoyed it. So it's been a fantastic ride.
I don't know if you recall, Jeff, but I asked you to run early on when the city was being formed, and I thought, because I heard you were thinking about it, I thought, what a great name for that position.
Yeah, well, I mean, that made a big difference with me, and then fortunately my wife thought it was a good idea, and I was looking for something different from my legal practice at that time anyway. So it was, it was a good career change, really interesting, and now I'm off to my next one.
There you go.
So what stands out to you, Mayor, about maybe some of the proudest moments you had over the last almost decade?
Well, there are so many things I could talk about. I'm really proud of the work that we did to start a Promise program to help kids, particularly from who are new Americans or refugees, succeed in school so that they can have the kind of lives that we all aspire to. That's one thing. And secondly, managing the finances of the city to achieve a AAA bond rating within the first 9 years after incorporation, which is, as I understand it, is pretty unusual. It usually takes more time. That these rating agencies want to look at 15 years of financial records, and we just didn't have that. But we've been able to establish a rainy day fund or a fund balance in the city budget of the state statutory maximum, and that went a long way with those rating agencies. So that I'm proud of that. I'm also proud of the fact that we have developed, a civic center for Mill Creek at Mill Creek Common with a new city hall and all the recreational amenities that are going to be included in that, and all the housing we built. We've worked to address Utah's housing shortage and affordability shortage, and also I think we've been a leader outside of the shelter cities of trying to undertake our role to try to resolve the issue of our unsheltered population, homelessness.
Jeff, what can you tell our listeners about how residents of Mill Creek area and other residents who are considering incorporating, how life changes? What happens when an area like that incorporates and becomes a city and gets a mayor and starts working on a more of a almost micro area, management area. I don't mean to say you were micromanaging, but you instead of having the county provide your services, the city does. How do the residents benefit when things like that occur?
Well, especially in a big county like Salt Lake, and Utah County is another big one, Davis, Weber. You get more local control. You get to see your mayor and your city council members at the grocery store and at church and just around town. We're more familiar with the actual problems that our residents have. We drive on the same streets they do. We see the potholes. We see the things that need to be addressed in terms of infrastructure. So that's one thing. The other thing is you get to control your own destiny. When you do economic development, the tax dollars stay in your community as opposed to being spread around the rest of an unincorporated area in the county. And, I think that makes a difference for people to actually see. I hope the residents of Mill Creek can actually see that we've repaved all of our major corridors. We have been able to construct storm sewer and repair storm sewer problems that we had. We've addressed infrastructure like we weren't able to see happen when we had a regional government, and I know the county did try to do a good job, but, those folks have a lot of other responsibilities for the whole county, and they can't necessarily focus on one community like a city government can.
What advice did you have?
I'll say,
go ahead, please.
I'll say, a lot of people on the incorporation issue talk about, we're adding another layer of government. But if you really know what's going on when a county is managing municipal services, you're not really creating another level of government. You're just transferring those functions from the county to the city hall. So, we really are as lean as we ever were when we were governed by Salt Lake County, maybe even more so in terms of the salaries that we pay. So that's not really a concern. You get better service, I think, more direct service anyway. So sorry to cut you off.
No, you're fine. What advice do you have for now Mayor Jackson?
Well, I talked to her at our city council meeting when I kind of passed the torch to her. Now that she's mayor, she needs to, filter her decisions through a filter of what is best for the entire city. Rather than, what's best for her district or her neighborhood. It's a big response. Mill Creek's 65,000, which isn't a huge city, but for Utah, it's pretty big. And so you need to consider all parts of the city, all different, interests and communities and things like that. And then I just hope that she works, and I think she will, to preserve the culture that we have developed in our building. We have a great staff, and they provide good service to our residents, and I think maintaining that morale inside City Hall is important because I'll tell you what, city employees, they take a lot of gruff from the community, even when things aren't necessarily their fault. They work hard to try to serve the public, and they usually make less than what people can make in the private sector, and they really, for them to show up to work every day with a smile on their face is a credit to them. And so to retain good people, you have to maintain that culture in City Hall where people feel valued by the mayor and the council, and they need that in order to continue to serve the public.
And how is she a good pick for this, Jeff? And what can people know about her? I'm sure you've worked with Sherry Jackson for some time. Why is she a good pick for this position?
So Sherry has been on the council, as long as I've been mayor. She was elected, 9 years ago, like me. So she knows the city very well. Her district has actually evolved with the reapportionment back in 2020. So she used to represent a big other part of the city she doesn't represent now. She's represented almost a third of the city at one time or another based upon the way her district's been fashioned. And she knows the budget too. She's been the city treasurer. She and I sign she signs all the checks. I sign the checks over $5,000, right? So she knows the city's finances and she's good at that. She has a master's of public administration and a bachelor's degree from BYU, and she's super smart. And the other thing I'll say is that she has compassion. I would frequently turn to her. I say this in a loving way, but she's like Mill Creek's mom. She has a really good sense for our community and what the people and residents in it want, and a sensitivity to be able to talk to people that is, I think, commendable. So I think she's going to do a fantastic job.
Wonderful. Jeff Silvestrini, former mayor of Mill Creek, thanks for joining us this morning. I think some Democrats are going to be talking to him about this new congressional position that's opening up. I don't know that he's interested in something like that. When we come back, pennies are going away. What does this mean for businesses? Utah Division of Consumer Protection has some suggestions. We'll talk about that after the break.
10:30 at KSL News Radio. I'm Amanda Dixon. KSL's top story over the past hour. The Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints unveiled the locations of this winter's giving machines, which can now be found in 126 different cities in 21 countries around the world. Some of the new locations are in Argentina, Austria, Japan, and Thailand. Each machine gives people various donation options, ranging from helping provide clean water to food and livestock for people in need. Our top national story this hour from ABC News. Cybersecurity experts say they know who is behind all those fake toll road text messages.
The scammers, based in China, have been dubbed the smishing triad for the SMS text messages they send out by the millions. Posing as EasyPass, the U.S. Postal Service, or Google, cybercriminals will try to convince their victims to send money to settle non-existent charges. Now, Google has filed suit against the smishing triad, saying it's damaging its good name.
ABC's Jim Ryan reporting. Your money at this moment, the Dow is up 379. Right now, we're at 48,307. Coming up, it's going to stay unusually warm for a few more days. KSL weather is next. KSL News Time, 10:32. Mornings are for recharging.
And they're for starting your day right.
We volunteer to join you in the car. Get news and weather at 102.7 FM during the most important part of your day.
Andy and Amanda, each morning between 5 and 9 on KSL News Radio.
Is your financial advisor offering you up to a 30% upfront bonus? Or are they promising you up to 10% growth per year, all for your retirement income? If not, then you need to come to Trajan Wealth. I'm Jeff Jr., founder of Trajan Wealth. If you have a plan to retire within the next 10 years, don't wait only to find out it's too late. I've seen hardworking folks like you retire only to be required to go back to work, all because their advisor told them guarantees like these were too good to be true. They're not. That's up to $30,000 upfront or up to $10,000 per year on $100,000, all guaranteed for retirement income. Don't keep working when you're supposed to be retired, and don't let any financial advisor tell you it's too good to be true. Call Trajan today, 801-207-9900. That's 801-207-9900.
Annuities, non-advisory products. DBA Trajan Wealth Insurance Solutions. Additional disclosures at TrajanWealth.com.
As the temperature sinks a little lower and the wind blows a little harder, next thing you know, the winter cold is going to be seeping in through your old drafty windows. So now's the time to call Advanced Window Products for custom-crafted, state-of-the-art windows that'll seal up your house and cut your heating bill. Get on their schedule before winter, and not only do you get factory direct pricing far below what the big-name companies charged, but Advanced will knock an extra $2,500 off your quote. They'll create beautiful double-pane windows with insulated frames, any style, any color, and the security features to keep keep your family safe. You'll get a lifetime warranty from a local company in business here for 39 years. Financing? 60 months, 0%. Or even buy now, pay later. So make the call. Seal up the house for winter with $2,500 off on 10 windows or more. Call for a quote, 801-850-9100. That's 801-850-9100, or go to advancedwindows.com.
1-877 Cards for Kids. KARS Cards for Kids. 1-877 Cards for Kids. Donate your card today.
1-877 Cars for Kids. KARS Cars for Kids. 1-877 Cars for Kids. Donate your car today.
Donate your car today at carsforkids.org. That's cars with a K. Your car, running or not, can be picked up as soon as the next day. You'll get a maximum tax deduction and a vacation voucher.
1-877 Cars for Kids. KARS Cars for Kids. 1-877 Cars for Kids. Donate your car today.
Now accepting donations of land, homes, buildings, or any kind of real estate.
Traffic and weather together, brought to you by Mountain America's Visa Triple Rewards. And here's Andy Farnsworth.
All clear on the freeways right now from Ogden to Salt Lake to Provo, both directions moving smoothly. City Street's pretty quiet as well. Haven't seen any new crashes reported, and certainly none having any impact. Just some road work slowing you in Lake Point on SR 36. Take UTA instead of driving and actually enjoy your ride. Try UTA to see the difference. Plan your trip at rideuta.com or on the Transit app.
Hazy and 63 today, even warmer at 69 tomorrow. And that storm moving along the west coast is weakening, meaning that our chances for showers on Friday have dropped down to only 30%. Right now it's 54 degrees. I'm Amanda Dixon from the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios. Listen online at kslnewsradio.com. We're Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
And every time it rains, pennies from heaven.
Pennies from Heaven. That's Louise Prima singing about pennies from heaven. And, well, it seems like after the next couple of weeks, maybe the only place we're going to get pennies are from heaven, because President Trump has discontinued the production of the iconic Lincoln cent.
So it's interesting to me, right? There's long been conversations about, should we do away with the penny, and it costs 4 cents to produce a 1 cent penny. But now that those pennies are going away, there's some question about how it impacts Utah businesses. So Katie Haas she's the director of the Utah Division of Consumer Protection. She's joining us right now to tell us what this means for both consumers and businesses. Welcome, Katie.
Welcome. Thank you so much for having me today. I appreciate it.
Yeah. So I just am interested in, what does this look like for business owners, and what is it going to look like for consumers?
Well, I think we need to remember that many people still pay with credit cards or other forms of electronic payment. And so for them, this isn't making a big difference. Where it's making a difference is people who are going into retail locations and they're paying in cash. And the store may not have the exact change to give back to that consumer because they're out of pennies. So in that case, stores are finding themselves in a peculiar situation where they don't have the exact change, and they need to make a decision whether they're going to go back to our elementary school learning on rounding, and are they going to round up, are they going to round down, or what they're supposed to do.
It does seem to make a lot of sense, Katie, that we do the rounding. For example, if your bill comes out to $18.01, that's $18. But if it's $18.04, it's $18.05. You can round up to the nearest nickel, I guess, or the nearest 0 and 5. It seems like we've been kind of doing that anyway. Every time I go to a cash register, and I still pay in cash because I'm old school, there's a little container there with pennies in it. Grab one, take one, whatever you seem to need. So we've effectively been doing that anyway. Are we getting pushback from businesses at all, or from anyone really?
I don't think we're getting pushback. I think where businesses are concerned are two places. One is if you're doing this all the time and you're always rounding down, well, those pennies can start to add up. And so they wanted to make sure that if they rounded up versus rounded down to the benefit of the consumer, that they had the right to do that. Because you could see somebody maybe getting upset if every time they go into a store, everyone's always rounding up to the disadvantage of the consumer. So it's 1801 to your point, and all of a sudden it's 1805. There are people who care about those pennies. They do add up over time. And so I could see people being upset. So to us, what we really care about are two things. One is notice to the consumer. You can choose the rounding method of your choice is what we've told businesses, but you just need to make sure that when someone's paying in cash, that they understand that you're going to be rounding up every time or rounding down or whatever methodology it is that you're going to use. Just to the example you gave, that's our recommended. If it's a penny or two, you go down to the nearest dollar. If it's or the nearest zero number, the 10, the lower 10. If it's 3, 4, you go up to 5, 6, 7, you go back down. 8, 9, you go back up. And so that's what we've recommended, but businesses are really free to choose which method that they want to use or how they want to do it, so long as they give proper notice. The other thing that businesses need to remember is this happens after you've calculated the tax, and the full tax that you've told a consumer that you are charging needs to be remitted to the tax commission. In other words, you can't cheat the tax commission out of those pennies. You can take it off your bottom line, or you can add it to your purse if you've rounded up. But overall, I think businesses are adopting kind of a fairer method, which is someplace in between, which is they go down sometimes and go up sometimes, depending on where the number lands.
So, Katie, it sounds like it's really only impacting cash transactions, but it makes sense in my head to say we're going to make sure that we just don't have pennies anymore. Like, so nobody's going to get an amount that's $18.01. Do you anticipate that might be a natural evolution of pricing?
Potentially, except the way taxes are calculated, you might always end up with an odd number. And so I could price it at $18, but then when I add tax on, depending on how that tax is calculated, I could end up with cents. So I think it's difficult to predict that it will impact pricing. I think it's more about people will just grow accustomed to this concept that we're rounding down or rounding up, depending on the store that you're in and you're paying cash. And for those of us who still have pennies lying around, we might be gathering those up and keeping them close. We've put out an advisory on our website at dcp.utah.gov for businesses. Again, that's dcp.utah.gov. And at the bottom, there's a blog that explains this more. And we've even created a flyer that we feel like gives adequate notice to consumers for businesses to just go ahead and print out, put in their window, that uses the rounding method that we talked about at the beginning of the call, where you're going up or down depending on where it lands.
Katie, it seems that there has been some period of time by which the penny has cost more to create than it's worth. And so to me, I kept thinking why they didn't do this before. And I know that's an unfair question for you, but what do you think is going on right now that finally we're recognizing that this doesn't make sense, this rounding up, or this whole idea of having 1803 and 1805, you know what I mean? That doesn't make sense. I mean, to you, from the Division of Consumer Protection, does it make sense that now we're making this decision with the penny?
You know, that is really above my pay grade, so I appreciate the question. But what I do think is so many things are electronic these days. Most people are using credit cards, Apple Pay, Google Pay, whatever it is, at the vendor. Most people aren't carrying. I think back to my dad having just this huge wad of change in his pocket everywhere he went. And you just don't see that as much anymore. So the necessity of the penny may have been diminished enough that the government felt like it wasn't worth the extra cents to make the cent. And therefore, they made this policy shift. But that doesn't mean that in the calculation, I mean, every state has a different tax code, sometimes even down to counties and cities. And so it's impossible to predict when things are going to end with a penny number. And therefore, I think it just makes sense that the cash purchases have a rounding method for those unique situations.
This doing away with the penny was a federal decision. Has the federal government given guidelines, or are they leaving it up to each states or even each retailer?
So they haven't given guidance yet. I do think that will be coming. I'm hearing chatter from my partners in the federal level about this issue. So hopefully there will be guidance soon, which is why I caution our guidance with, of course, this is all depending upon any federal guidance could trump what we do, no pun intended. And so Right now, though, where there's a void, we just wanted to make sure that retailers felt some comfort in rounding. They were very nervous that they would be accused of being deceptive. And so that's why we put out this guidance, was at their request for something that they could kind of rely on. And again, to us, it's about notice to the consumer, clear and conspicuous notice to the consumer about what you're doing so a consumer can make a decision. Maybe on this case, because they don't have the exact change and they're going to round up, I would rather pay with my credit card, or I'd rather pay with my debit card. But that's all about the notice. And then just to be really clear that if you come up a few pennies short, that doesn't mean you don't have to remit the full tax. Because you've told the consumer you were collecting that tax needs to be remitted to the tax commission.
That was Katie Haas, Director of Utah Division of Consumer Protection. Holly, now I have a problem. I've got a penny collection, thanks to my father passing away, that literally you couldn't carry.
Wow.
It'd be hard to fit it in a trunk of a car. It's so
Oh
big.
my gosh.
So I don't know if it's worth anything, but a lot of these old pennies, we call them wheatbacks. They were
They
before
probably are worth
right,
something.
worth 2 cents or something like that. I mean, who knows what they're worth? But I mean, now I've got to unload them.
Maybe just fill your pockets with them, and every time you go into a store, drop them into the penny bucket for
there
people
you go.
to
Right?
take.
Yes, there you go. Yes. So now I've got a
penny
excessive
collection.
Penny collection.
My question is, what do you do with the rhyme? Find a penny, pick it up all day long. You'll have good luck. Nobody's going to have good luck anymore.
That's
I guess.
right. Well, they have better luck now because they're rare.
Oh yeah, because they're rare. Oh yeah,
It
okay.
will mean
there
something.
You go. Housing, as you know, is an ongoing topic of conversation, and I am wondering if the market's continuing to slow. So we're going to talk with Russell Fawcett of the Stern team of Almada Real Estate when we come back after this break.
If you're ready to buy a home or sell a home and you're worried about the current real estate market because of what you've heard from some of your friends or family, well, we're here to tell you that you really shouldn't be worried, because now is a great time to buy and sell with our friends at the Stern team, powered by Almada Real Estate.
And here's why. Buyers have more options due to increased inventory, which gives them the power to negotiate for repairs, interest rate buy-downs, and closing cost assistance. While at the same time, sellers are still getting top dollar for their homes, with home values that are higher today than ever before. So whether you're looking to buy or sell, the current real estate market presents a win-win opportunity for both buyers and sellers.
But you still do want to make sure that you're working with a team of real estate experts you can trust that can get you some great results. And that's our friends at the Stern team, powered by Almada Real Estate.
They have helped thousands of Salt Lake City homeowners, and they're ready to help you. To get started, just go to thesternteam.com. That's thesternteam.com, or Google The Stern Team. At KSL News Radio, we have a 30-year legacy of honoring Utah teachers, but we can't do it without your help. Please tell us about an important teacher in your life on the KSL Teacher Tribute Wall, presented by Cypress Credit Union. Each month, one lucky teacher wins a $500 gift card from Cypress Credit Union, a $250 gift card to Harmon's, plus season tickets to Hale Center Theater. Say thanks to your teacher today at kslnewsradio.com/teacher from Cypress Credit Union and KSL News Radio.
If you love to travel, Capital One has a rewards credit card that's perfect for you. With the Capital One Venture X card, you earn unlimited double miles on everything you buy. Plus, you get premium benefits at a collection of luxury hotels when you book on Capital One Travel. And with Venture X, you get access to over 1,000 airport lounges worldwide. Open up a world of travel possibilities with the Capital One Venture X card. What's in your wallet?
Terms apply. Lounge access is subject to change. See CapitalOne.com for details.
I'm Ed Evans, CEO of Consumer Cellular. Ever wonder why Big Wireless wants you on an unlimited plan? They probably want you to cover the cost of those 20-somethings using all that data every month. But most people 50 and up like me only use 12 gigs or less. Don't get bamboozled by Big Wireless. Switch to Consumer Cellular. Our plans start at just $20, and we use the same towers as the big guys. Join the millions who choose something better, because if you're not using all that data, you're probably getting used.
Call 1-888-FREEDOM or visit consumercellular.com/facts. Plans include $5 credit for auto pay and e-billing. See site for additional facts.
When it comes to your electrical system, do you know the warning signs to look for? What's up, everybody? I'm Mike Wilson with Any Hour Services, and it's okay if you don't know, but here are a few things that you might not even realize could be a sign of a bigger problem. Wall plates that are hot to the touch, discoloration around switches or outlets, if you hear crackling or popping or buzzing around switches or outlets, a breaker that trips a lot, switches that feel loose when you operate them, if your lights dim or flicker when a major appliance comes on, if your plugs fall out of the wall easily. You know, you're not supposed to have to bend the prongs out on a plug just to get it to stay in the wall. If you notice any of these things, you should consider having a licensed electrician check your system out. If you don't know anyone, Any Hour Services has put together a radio-only special for any homeowners listening. One of our licensed electricians will perform a comprehensive electrical inspection and give you a full written report for only $29. But you have to mention this ad when you call. To schedule your comprehensive electrical inspection by a licensed electrician for only $29, call Any Hour Services at 801-443-7300. That's 801-443-7300. Any Hour Services.
You're listening to Leaf Filter Radio, and the guru of gutter protection himself, Chris Cunahan, is here to take your most pressing leaf-related questions and bring you a special Black Friday offer.
Hey, everybody, Chris here. I understand we have Ron on the line. Ron, where are you calling from?
Uh-oh. Ron, are you calling from a ladder?
Well, I was. I wanted to ask Chris what I need to do to get my gutters ready to have Leaf Filter installed.
Oh, Ron, you don't have to do anything. A Leaf Filter Trusted Pro will come out and clean out your gutters, realign and seal your gutters, and install Leaf Filter, America's #1 gutter protection system.
So I didn't need to get on this ladder?
Ron, Leaf Filter Trusted Pros are in your neighborhood and ready to help. Just visit leaffilter.com/radio to schedule your free gutter inspection and get up to 30% off.
Thank goodness. What was that site?
That's leaffilter.com/radio. And now, as a special Black Friday offer, you can get a free gutter inspection, plus up to 35% off. This is our best offer of the season. Unlock it now at leaffilter.com/radio. See representative for warranty details.
Mr. Mac, suiting for every important chapter of your life. Weddings, proms, new job, any celebration, mission callings, and more. Mr. Mac's there to suit your needs with 9 locations or MrMac.com.
Mom and Dad used to argue about everything, especially about Dad's drinking. It drove me crazy. It got so bad, I couldn't do my homework. I couldn't concentrate. I absolutely refused to let any of my friends come to our house for any reason. I would have been humiliated if anyone found out how much my dad drank and how loud my mom screamed at him. My family went from totally crazy to quiet, calm, and even peaceful. The only thing that happened is my mom started going to Al-Anon family groups. Her relationship with my dad really changed. I asked Mom if she would take me to her Al-Anon meetings or to Alateen. I wanted to see if I could have a better relationship with my dad. I'm sure glad I did. If someone's drinking troubling you, you might be surprised at what you can learn in an Al-Anon or Alateen family group from people just like you. Call 1-888-4-ALANON or go to alanon.org.
The new Inside Sources.
Well, Holly, I live in a part of the state where a lot of people are trying to sell their homes, and it seems that they've been on the market forever. And it also seems that every time I look at the listing of the home, there's a little sign on the bottom that says price reduced. Now, we have had Russell Fawcett with us in the past. He's from the Stern team of Amada Real Estate to answer questions about that. And Russell's always very optimistic.
Right.
I love talking to him because he's like, no, don't despair.
Good.
Don't reduce your price. Stay on. The housing market is still good in Utah. So I wanted to get caught up with him and see if that's still the case. So luckily, we do have Russell with us from the Stern team of Amada Real Estate to answer some questions. Russell, tell us, where am I living in a
bubble,
weird island up there in northern Utah where nobody can sell their house?
Yeah, so I mean, it's funny because I still think, as you said, I am optimistic on where we're at, and it's even, some of the news that came out this week of like, just need to be a little bit more patient. So what we are seeing though is definitely our days on market is continuing to increase. So we're actually now, the median days on market is 63 for Salt Lake County. And if we look at our price per square foot, that is ticking down as well. Our median sales price is roughly staying about the same. And so we're continuing to see that shift into, creeping towards that buyer's market, but we still haven't seen the run of inventory that would cause our market to quote unquote crash and become a buyer's market. And really it is because of all of us that have a 3% interest rate that are just holding onto our home instead of making that move or putting it on the market. So a lot of our stats still say it's that balanced market, but for sure we are moving towards a buyer's market.
I have a question for you, Russell. You've talked to us before about this stagnation, basically people like Greg and I that are deciding we're not going to get out of our home. What type of things play into that, breaking that log jam?
Honestly, the biggest one is going to be time. And so, there could be different. So it all starts at the bottom. So we do need to figure out affordability for first-time home buyers, because when we have an influx of first-time home buyers, then we can have more move-up buyers and it'll work itself out. So, one of the hurdles we have to get over is affordability. And so as I said, time, part of that is just letting wages catch up to where housing prices are, because we don't see our prices going through the roof. And that's why, I hesitate to, get behind certain programs. I'll use the example of the 50-year mortgage that they've floated out there of like that's for a second that'll make housing more affordable. But what we'll see is essentially prices will run up because we still don't have the inventory. And so there are certain ideas, certain things, but we still need, if we want prices to go down, we need more inventory, or we just need time for wages to catch up to make it more affordable, and we can have a natural progression again.
You can actually learn your home's true value in 30 seconds by visiting thesternteam.com to find out more. And Russell, I wanted to mention something on a personal note. I was injured a week and a half ago, and as I was leaving the hospital, the surgeon said, "Look, you're going to have a hard time using stairs, using your bathroom, your shower. You need to install these big, ugly railings all over the place." And I remember when we went to my parents to do that at their home in Sandy, they said it'll really hurt the value of the home. And of course, to me, I thought, well, but if it helps you stand up, it's worth it. And of course, you can always remove them after the fact. But what do you tell people when they're considering doing something like that? You got to change your home. Maybe you've even make it more wheelchair accessible, and things like that can cost a lot of money.
Yeah, well, that's when we have the conversation of, are we more concerned about resale value because you're going to make a move soon, and maybe we need to talk about actually finding a home that is equipped for you today, or, whether it's improving it to, for accessibility, or painting a wall, your kid's favorite color. You're living in the home, and I'm of the opinion of that's your biggest investment. Like, live in the home, love it. And then when you're getting closer to getting ready to sell, let's look at it. But installing, grab bars or wheelchair ramp, like you said, if we feel like it's going to need to be removed, like it's better than you falling again and having someone fall and end up with medical bills or getting hurt. And so, for items of safety for someone that maybe needs to modify their home, take care of yourself first, and then let's figure out the real estate piece later.
Russell, I have a question about that. So I have an adult son who is in a wheelchair, and we were just driving through our neighborhood yesterday, and it was like none of the homes in our neighborhood are accessible to him through the front door. Not a single one. They all have stairs going into them. And so if we ever downsize, he will probably continue to live with us. Are there areas that advertise that they have, homes for like one floor living, single floor living, but that's actually accessible, or is that all really custom made?
Yeah, a lot of it there is people can put on the MLS single floor living, or the box that they check it's accessible. And so there are properties that are marketed that way as far as areas go. The only places that I've seen that, as a whole would all be accessible is if you get into the 55 plus communities. And then they are more conscious of building to make sure that all of the properties are accessible.
And Russell, I probably sound like a broken record, but I have to ask you this again. What are we seeing with interest rates? It seems like there is some marketing going on right now that interest rates are at least coming down enough that some lenders are starting to actually post numbers on billboards that they didn't post a couple of months ago.
Yeah, so I mean, we have seen the last meeting, the Fed did lower the interest, the Fed rate. Right now with the government shutdown, we haven't had jobs reports. We haven't had, a lot of the reports that they use to really indicate what are we going to do. And so really what we've seen is they did come down, but now we're staying fairly flat, but it's still a better rate than it was at our peak. And so right now we are in a little bit of a, what is the government going to do? What are the reports going to say before we know what's going to happen on December 10th when the Fed meets next? And so, we could see them lower it again, but if inflation and jobs reports come out strong, I mean, the expectation is that they would just leave them alone and we would continue to stay right about where we're at.
Thank you so much, Russell. We've been speaking with Russell Fawcett of the Sturm team of Omada Real Estate, and he always has great information for our listeners.
Yeah, and I was going to ask him about something, but we just ran out of time, but President Trump is talking about a 50-year mortgage.
Yeah, he mentioned that, actually, that it's not maybe necessarily that great of an idea. In fact, one of the things that's interesting is you can look at a $400,000 mortgage and at a 30-year and a 50-year, and even if the interest rate was the same, which some experts are saying it wouldn't even be the same, the price difference is like $200 a month.
Yeah.
But you're, paying for triple your home or whatever it is.
Yeah, I always went with the shortest period I could, just because you want to have it paid off when you can. Of course, that's easier said than done.
Right.
When we come back, the U.S. House is voting later tonight on reopening the government, but some Republicans are not happy with the Senate provision in the continuing resolution. We'll talk with Cami Mondo, congressional correspondent with the Desert News, about why when we come back.
KSL FM Midvale.
KSL Salt Lake City.
From the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios, this is KSL News Radio.
Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
11 o'clock at KSL News Radio. I'm Claire Scott. KSL's top story this hour. Police are asking people to help in a search for a missing Utah woman in California. KSL News Radio's Randall Jepson has more.
Danielle Staley was visiting Rio Del Mar State Beach, and she was last seen on November 6th. Local media there say she was staying in a camper van with a friend when she went missing. There wasn't any indication she had gone into the water, and the Santa Cruz County Sheriff's Office, they posted an update saying new information indicates she may be at risk and foul play may be involved. But they didn't give any more information.
Investigators are now asking people who live in the area to review their surveillance cameras to see if anything unusual happened around the time she disappeared. Our top national story this hour from ABC News. House lawmakers are expected to vote tonight to end the longest government shutdown in U.S. history. ABC News senior White House correspondent Selena Wang has more.
It is expected to pass, but we are also looking at a very tight vote, just given these slim margins for Republicans in the House. And you've got literally right now lawmakers racing back to Washington to make it in time for this vote. You have some who are documenting on social media how they are driving hours across the country to avoid any of those potential flight delays.
The vote is expected to take place around 5 or 6 local time tonight. Your money at this moment, the Dow is up 407 points. The S&P is up 9 points. And coming up, mostly cloudy skies. KSL weather is next. KSL News Time 11:01.
A reminder about the simplest way to get updated for your day.
Hit your KSL preset when you jump in the car, and we'll take care of the rest.
Hear key news updates and traffic reports.
Andy and Amanda from 5 to 9 in your car.
KSL News Radio at 102.7 FM.
At Fisher Investments, we may seem like other money managers, but we're different.
Are you really that different than the rest of us?
We are. As a fiduciary, we always focus on what's best for our clients.
What services do you offer besides investing?
We have a team of specialists in financial planning, estate planning, and more.
Your clients rely on you for all that?
Yes, we ensure clients receive unparalleled service at every step of the relationship.
Okay, but you still sell commission-based products, right?
No, because we believe that's a conflict of interest. We prioritize service over sales goals.
So, then how do your fees work?
We have a simple and transparent fee that's a percentage of our clients' portfolios. So we do better when our clients do better.
Wow. We're more different than I thought.
At Fisher Investments, we're clearly different. Learn more at FisherInvestments.com.
Investing in securities involves the risk of loss.
When you need a new water heater, you need it right now.
Yep, can't wait on that.
When you need a new furnace or a new air conditioner come the summertime, you need it right now. So Superior Water and Air has a wonderful program where they can help you with financing. If you need it, get it today and pay it off when you get your tax refund or just over time.
And that's one of the great things is they have multiple financing options. It's not just one, okay, you've got to do it this way. It's, you can wait till just after your tax refund. Well, what if you need no payments until later in the year?
Yeah.
They can work with you like that because, look, they want to help you get you back on your feet with the thing that doesn't work that you got to use.
Yeah.
And they'll just work with your situation. What a great way to do it.
I loved introducing you to my friends at Superior because they're just great people. And when you invite somebody into your home, you want to feel good about them.
Yeah, and they're so customer-centric. That was what really impressed me was they wanted to work with me and my family, whatever needs we might have.
Right. They want your home to be safe and clean. Superior Water and Air. Here's the number, 801-872-8483, or go to superiorwaterandair.com.
Ebenezer Scrooge, you have yet a chance of escaping my fate.
Ah, humbug.
You still have time to get a Mountain America Rewards credit card and earn 3 times the points on every dollar spent, but only through the stroke of midnight on December 31st.
I suppose I can learn to enjoy the holidays with triple rewards.
Apply today and learn more at macu.com/triple.
Membership required based on eligibility. Loans on approved credit offer can change or be withdrawn at any time. Limited time offer. Business cards not eligible.
Traffic and weather together brought to you by Mountain America's Visa Triple Rewards. Here's Cormac Bone.
Traffic looking really good on all your major freeways and main secondaries all across the Salt Lake Valley. Where your real problems are between Salt Lake and Utah counties on Redwood Road. Construction at Porter Rockwell Boulevard causing some blockage and delays. While you're planning your day, plan for comfort too with the Good Feet store. Find the location nearest you at goodfeet.com. Cormac Bone in the KSL Traffic Center.
A high of 63 today with haze and clouds. Tomorrow, we'll see temperatures near the 70s, and then we're back to the mid-60s on Friday. Right now, it is 54 and mostly cloudy. I'm Claire Scott from the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios. Listen online at KSLNewsRadio.com. We're Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
The all-new Inside Sources. Inside Sources. Your inside access to the people and policies shaping Utah's future. Here are Greg Skordas and Holly Richardson on KSL News Radio.
Well, Holly, Monday night, 8 Democrats joined the Republicans and seemingly ended the government shutdown because we ended up getting 60 votes from the Senate, the U.S. Senate, enough to at least put forward the continuing resolution, thinking, well, we're back to normal. The government shutdown's over. But there were some changes in this Senate version that are now going to go back to the House, and some House members are going, hey, wait a minute. This is not what we gave you a couple months ago.
Yeah, well, that's for sure. So, look, we have Cami Mondo on the line. Cami, you are the best go-to person. Thank you so much for joining us again.
Yes, absolutely.
So you published an article this morning in the Deseret News that said House Republicans angry with funding bill provision. And tell us about that, because this was news to me.
Absolutely. So one of these provisions that was tucked into the now spending package that's going to reopen the government was this provision that would allow senators who have had their phone records obtained by the federal government, namely the Justice Department, they could actually sue the federal agency and get up to, $500,000 per violation. But that was passed in this spending resolution. But House Republicans are upset with that because they did not know this was a provision that was passed until it's now been sent back to them for approval.
So wasn't it passed by Senate Republicans?
It was, yes. And Senate Republicans are actually the ones who kind of crafted this language and stuck it in there. They just didn't inform their Republicans on the other side of Capitol Hill that it was in there.
So, Cami, this, for me, at least, came right out of the blue. Do we know what was behind this? Is there something going on right now with the Senate Republicans and the Justice Department or federal agencies that have caused this? Or do we know why they would throw this wrench in?
It's been part of this kind of continuing fight against, Senate Republicans toward the Biden DOJ. It was revealed a couple of weeks ago that Jack Smith, that former special counsel under the Biden administration, had obtained, I think it was 8 senators whose phone records were obtained as part of an investigation into the January 6th riots. These senators were unaware of that until it was revealed just a couple of weeks ago. They are obviously very upset, view that as a political weaponization of the federal government. And so now with this tucked in, they can retroactively sue the Justice Department for that and receive money for being investigated.
So let me ask you this then, procedural question. Is this, as it goes to the House, is it going to be a straight up or down vote? They can't strip that provision out and then send it back over, or are they just trying to do straight up or down?
Right. So Democrats last night, after revealing this, they wanted to introduce an amendment to take that out of the spending resolution. And a lot of these Republicans who are upset that this is in there, they conceded that they do want to strip that language out. They just don't want to do it yet because they don't want to send the resolution back to the Senate. They think the shutdown would just last a lot longer. They just want to end it right away. But some of them are, signaling that they'll introduce legislation perhaps later to repeal it. But yes, that's just tucked into the larger spending resolution to reopen the government.
So, Cami, what are we hearing from the House Speaker and others about when and how the House is going to get together, start meeting, start debating what is now a continuing resolution in their pocket?
Absolutely. So the House will return at 4 p.m. this afternoon. They're going to be opening up the floor for the first time in 54 days, and they're going to start debate on this spending bill. They're going to have their first procedural vote, which will require pretty much everyone, not everyone, but a 218 majority at the least, to advance to debate, and we're expecting a final vote around 7:30 p.m.
So do you anticipate that the Democrats are going to argue against this bill like long and loud, or is it just going to be, we object?
I think we will see a few probably want to come to the floor for debate to at least, object to the fact that there are no Obamacare subsidies in here. We do expect House Democratic leaders to also announce a new discharge petition that they want to have Obamacare extensions. That would be separate from the bill, of course. So we do expect to see some objection, but not enough to, hold up this vote. So we do expect it to happen tonight, and they'll only have about an hour of debate time.
We're speaking with Cami Mondo, Desert News congressional correspondent, and I think one of the things on the table for today, Cami, is the swearing in of Adelita Grijalva, the Democrat from Arizona. Maybe that's already occurred, but that's going to happen with a little bit of fanfare, isn't it?
Yes, so that will be one of the first things on the schedule tonight. So she will be sworn in around 4 p.m. with Speaker Johnson. And then there will be a bit of a photo opportunity, to take her official swearing-in photo. During that, we do expect Adelita Grijalva suggested that she'd probably try to confront Speaker Johnson for taking so long. This will be the first time that they have met in person, so there probably will be some sort of, back and forth. But the ceremony itself will happen when the floor opens at 4 p.m.
Cami, I know that there is a continuing resolution and there are also 3 different funding bills. Is that correct?
Correct. So the way that the Senate packaged it, it was that CR that funds the government until the end of January, but also attaches 3 full-year spending bills, and that will be all together.
So what are the chances then that we're back talking about a government shutdown in January, since this continuing resolution only takes us to the end of January?
That is a conversation already starting. We're heading into the holidays. The lawmakers won't be here that much in November and December. So there is a very real chance that we do see ourselves in a similar position at the end of January. Appropriators are trying to get a head start on some of these spending bills. You're going to see the House most likely adding voting days to their calendar after being out of town for so long. But it is very likely that we could be in a similar position come the end of January.
Cami, did the Democrats get anything in exchange for their support of this continuing resolution, or at least in support of moving this bill down the road, with respect to their concerns about the apparently soon loss in subsidies to the Affordable Care Act? Is there anything promising that they can tell their constituents that they may have received from Republicans to get this thing moving forward?
The only concession they really got is that Senate Majority Leader John Thune promised that they would have a vote on extending the subsidies. That's going to happen either the first or second week of December in the Senate. There's no guarantees that it will pass. There's no guarantee that they will actually have something that will extend the subsidies, but the promise was that they will get a vote of some sort.
Cami, when we've talked to you before, one of the things that we had heard swirling around, and you confirmed that there was some discussion that furloughed workers would not get back pay, only the accepted workers. What do we know about this funding bill that's over on the House side? Will they get paid or not paid?
I think that was one of the other concessions that Democrats were able to get, is that everybody will get back pay. They also were able to get language that those workers that were laid off will be reinstated and they will receive back pay. So the back pay issue, for the most part, should be put to bed. Everybody should be able to get all of the money that they're owed. That was another thing that Democrats were able to secure and were able to push them over the line to support on the Senate side.
Thanks, Cami. That was Cami Mondo, Desert News congressional correspondent. And I like how she danced around this issue, that after Grijalva will be sworn in, there will be a little back and forth between her and Speaker Johnson. I think it might be a little more than that.
Well, I saw a news article that said that the representative-elect doesn't know exactly what she's going to tell him, but she has some things she does know she wants to say.
I mean, it'd be sad to get elected into that position and not be able to serve simply because
like
you
6
can't be
weeks
sworn
later.
in. Right. Yeah, that's way too long.
Well, Cami always is really great to talk to us about what's going on the Hill. So that is good information. November is, not only is it Thanksgiving, of course, we kind of associate it with that, but it's also Family Engagement Month. And when it comes to parents and school, there is a difference between parent engagement and parent involvement. And we're going to talk to Jason Swenson from the Deseret News when we come back after the break.
As the temperature sinks a little lower and the wind blows a little harder, next thing you know, the winter cold is going to be seeping in through your old drafty windows. So now's the time to call Advanced Window Products for custom-crafted, state-of-the-art windows that'll seal up your house and cut your heating bill. Get on their schedule before winter, and not only do you get factory direct pricing far below what the big-name companies charged, but Advanced will knock an extra $2,500 off your quote. They'll create beautiful double-pane windows with insulated frames, any style, any color, and the security features to keep your family safe. You'll get a lifetime warranty from a local company in business here for 39 years. Financing? 60 months, 0%. Or even buy now, pay later. So make the call. Seal up the house for winter with $2,500 off on 10 windows or more. Call for a quote, 801-850-9100. That's 801-850-9100, or go to advancedwindows.com.
Hey guys, it's Woodrow from Mint Medical Clinic. Are you struggling with ED? Well, you are not alone, and now there's a real solution that treats the root cause, not just the symptoms. Introducing our Trifecta approach, a breakthrough combination of acoustic wave therapy, hormone replacement, and cryotherapy, all designed to restore blood flow, boost performance, and rebalance your hormones. Whether it's ED or hormonal imbalance, if you're ready to reignite your love life, this treatment helps bring back your energy, your drive, and your confidence. And right now, when you call, you'll receive a free consultation, a blood flow ultrasound, and an intimacy gift. That's a $650 value, absolutely free. And here's the bonus. The next 20 callers will also receive a 5-night stay at a luxury resort in Hawaii just for taking the first step. But you must call now. With 2 convenient locations in Layton and Sandy, help is closer than you think. Call 801-804-8000 now. That's 801-804-8000. Mint Medical Clinic. We'll get you back to mint condition.
Hard to believe, but Black Friday's here, and you know what that means. It's time for Black Friday money deals at UCCU.
There is an annual tradition now for Black Friday at UCCU where people look forward to, because unlike other Black Friday sales, Black Friday at UCCU is your chance to actually improve your finances.
Like a home equity loan with extra 0.25% off the intro rate, auto and RV loans with no payment for 90 days, low-rate credit cards with 0% interest for 6 months, and $150 cash just for signing up for direct deposit.
It's so easy, and that's just the beginning of Black Friday money deals. Keep going to uccu.com every week for new premium deals that will unlock, and they're things like cutting your auto loan rate in half, to earning a higher interest rate on your savings, enter each week for a chance to win these awesome prizes.
But you got to visit uccu.com every week. But if you come back and enter every time a new deal unlocks, you can win them all. So don't just enter once. Go every week, unlock every deal, and win big this Black Friday at UCCU.
UCCU, you're going to love where you bank.
With Progressive's collision coverage, my family gets up to $1,000 for vet bills if I'm injured in a car accident. And that makes this Chihuahua really feel like part of the family. What's that? I don't sound like a Chihuahua? Oh, I'm sorry. What exactly am I supposed to sound like? I guess all Chihuahuas are high-strung, riding around in expensive designer purses. Actually, I prefer riding in cars. So I appreciate that my family protects me with Progressive's pet collision coverage. Okay, maybe I am a little high-strung. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. Not available in all states. Coverage for dogs and cats is included with the purchase of collision coverage and is subject to policy terms.
This is the story of the one. As a custodial supervisor at a high school, he knows that during cold and flu season, germs spread fast. It's why he partners with Grainger to stay fully stocked on the products and supplies he needs, from tissues to disinfectants to floor scrubbers. All so that he can help students, staff, and teachers stay healthy and focused. Call 1-800-GRAINGER, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Getting help with electrical repairs is easier than you think. All you have to do is call Any Hour Services or schedule an appointment at anyhourservices.com. No one helps more homeowners than Any Hour Services.
You're listening to Leaf Filter Radio, and the guru of gutter protection himself, Chris Cunahan, is here to take your most pressing leaf-related questions and bring you a special Black Friday offer.
Hey, everybody, Chris here. I understand we have Ron on the line. Ron, where are you calling from?
Uh-oh. Ron, are you calling from a ladder?
Well, I was. I wanted to ask Chris what I need to do to get my gutters ready to have Leaf Filter installed.
Oh, Ron, you don't have to do anything. A Leaf Filter Trusted Pro will come out and clean out your gutters, realign and seal your gutters, and install Leaf Filter, America's #1 gutter protection system.
So I didn't need to get on this ladder?
Ron, Leaf Filter Trusted Pros are in your neighborhood and ready to help. Just visit leaffilter.com/radio to schedule your free gutter inspection and get up to 30% off.
Thank goodness. What was that site?
That's leaffilter.com/radio. And now, as a special Black Friday offer, you can get a free gutter inspection, plus up to 35% off. This is our best offer of the season. Unlock it now at leaffilter.com/radio. See representative for warranty details.
Most of us like to be out in the sun. That's why sunscreen and other safety measures are key to protecting your skin from aging and cancer. The FDA recommends using a sunscreen with an SPF of 15 or higher. Also, look for broad spectrum on the label. That means both harmful ultraviolet A and B rays are blocked. Remember, SPF plus broad spectrum equal healthy fun in the sun. Visit www.fda.gov/sunscreen for more information. A message from the U.S. Food and Drug Administration.
Inside Sources.
You mentioned at the end of the last break, Holly, that November is Family Engagement Month, and I was wondering sort of what that meant. I mean, it sounds like a great concept,
right?
But as I'm learning more about it, and we're going to get a guest with us in just a minute, it deals a lot with parents and their relationship with their kids' teachers and sort of the family-school dynamic.
Yeah, that's right. And one of the things that was interesting to me is I was reading an article by Jason Swenson, who is joining us actually, but that the idea that family involvement in schools is not the same as family engagement, and I thought that was super interesting. So, do we have Jason on the line?
We do.
Okay, Jason, thanks for joining us today again.
Good to be with you, Holly and Greg.
Will you just start off by explaining the difference between family involvement and family engagement? Because I found that really interesting.
Yeah, absolutely. Parent involvement or family involvement, that might be, when you participate, say, in the school bake sale, or, you show up to this to support the book fair, or even, performing some sort of volunteer work at the school. Could be or is being classified as family involvement. Engagement takes a huge step beyond simply that form of involvement and moves kind of into the realm of partnering. The idea that parents or guardians are full-fledged partners with their kids' teachers and their schools in the day-to-day decision-making that goes into their own child's academic outcome and development. And so it really is sort of a question of ownership rather than just sort of being involved in the activities or things that come up at the school or something like that. But really, it really is sort of a day-to-day element of engagement.
Jason, what do you suppose is going on with the state schools representatives that have maybe focused this, or at least pushed this new focus now toward promoting partnership between parents and teachers?
I really think, Greg, that the data is there to support that when a parent or a guardian really becomes a partner or claims ownership of their child's academic development, the data suggests that there are some huge results that can be, that can be the byproduct of that partnership. Not only, of course, the academic achievement, the idea that maybe your son or daughter can boost their reading or their math scores, but beyond that, just their experience, just the child's experience and involvement with school and their teachers and their classmates, there are more positive outcomes, things including, improvements in behavior, the job satisfaction for teachers, knowing that they have partners with parents, lower absenteeism, Greg, which has become such a huge issue in our schools, particularly post-COVID, where the rate of absenteeism in K through 12 schools has really become alarming. We're just seeing a number of kids who, for whatever reason, are not in class. And it's not difficult to imagine, the consequences of chronic absenteeism. And so family engagement, the data shows certainly absenteeism is remedied. And another key piece of research shows that when parents are fully engaged, not simply involved but engaged, that the likelihood of their child pursuing some form of post-secondary education also goes up. And so the likelihood that they'll pursue, a trade or a college education will directly reflect on their experience in K through 12, and oftentimes that's an extension of just how involved or engaged rather their families were in their own education.
That's super interesting. And Jason, I'm wondering if you have recommendations for parents, especially parents who might feel tired or busy or both, right? How does parent engagement look going beyond just parent involvement?
I think that there's certainly some great resources that the State Board of Education has provided. They've established a special page on their webpage for promoting and giving some great tips on parent and family engagement. So I think that's a good place to start. And I think beyond that, just simply being involved in a week-to-week or even day-to-day basis with your child's teachers to be able to best strategize, the needs. And so I think it's really just, an awareness. And if I may, Holly, I know I cover education for the Deseret News and have a chance to speak with a lot of elementary, junior high teachers. And they say one of the challenges that they really face is parents will sometimes decide, education, that's the primary role of my child's school. And I fulfill, other needs. And the teachers recognize that makes a big difference when they feel like there's a partnership there, not there. So I think simply building on those relationships with the teacher is probably going to have your best outcome. And also look at those other resources that, again, organizations like the Board of Education have provided for parents who might wonder what's the best way for me to be engaged.
It does seem, Jason, that 5 years ago when we were all dealing with the pandemic, that there was this gap, we weren't going to school. Teachers were not engaging with parents, and it's been a slow process to get that back. This seems to be, to me, and this is maybe a rhetorical question, such a good idea to try to get that love and feeling again, to get people back together, because that gap didn't ever quite get bridged in the way that we had hoped after school got back in session.
And I think you're exactly right. And the evidence is there. Not only, Greg, as I had mentioned, the absenteeism in Utah continues to be of great concern. Another thing that's also concerning is the performance gap that you're seeing in proficiency, such as math and particularly in reading. I know there was recently a legislative audit that was performed that, again, raised some real red flags that our students in Utah who were not reading well or who are struggling with math, they don't seem to be improving. The gap, if anything, seems to be widening between our students that are performing at a high or at least a satisfactory proficiency and those who are being left behind. And certainly when you speak with some of our education leaders like Molly Hart, the new superintendent of the state school, they will tell you that, a strong school system will always be reflected by those sort of partnerships that exist. So I think that's where to begin, Greg, is building or reclaiming those essential connections between parents and teachers.
I have a daughter who's a teacher, and one of her frustrations is feeling like there are behavioral issues that she sees in the classroom, and when she talks to the parents, they basically don't hold their child accountable for their behavior, right? They write it off or just dismiss it, boys will be boys, or he doesn't act that way at home, or whatever it is. And that's one thing that she has commented on more than once, is that it's the discipline, not disciplinary in the sense of, I'm going to send you to the principal's office, but being able to just maintain the classroom has been an issue. I can see where having families be more engaged is going to be super beneficial in that area.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. I think when there is a trust that exists between a mom and a dad and their child's teacher, then it's easy to go simply beyond, what can I do to help my son or my daughter with their reading or math? But when that trust involves, then you can have sometimes those uncomfortable conversations about, a child's behavioral issues and how that's not only impacting his or her development, but also the environment in the class and even the job satisfaction for teachers. I think all of those, the common denominator is when there's trust through those partnerships, the outcomes will be more positive.
Wonderful. That's Jason Swenson with the Deseret News. And that's good news, Holly. I mean, this is a positive thing. And as a grandparent, I see more and more involvement with my grandkids' teachers and schools with them than maybe I remember in the past. We have some more good news, and we're almost number one. This year's ratings come out and put Utah number 2 for the most charitable state. We'll talk about that when we come back next.
11:30 at KSL News Radio. I'm Claire Scott, KSL's top story this hour. And it is breaking news. There's a power outage impacting nearly 5,000 customers between Marriott, Slaterville, and Ogden. Rocky Mountain Power says the cause is still under investigation. The estimated time of restoration is 3 this afternoon. And our top national story this hour from ABC News. Democrats on the House committee investigating Jeffrey Epstein have released a series of emails that reference President Trump. In one email written in 2011, Epstein wrote to his now convicted accomplice, Ghislaine Maxwell, that Trump spent hours at his house with him.
We haven't heard back yet from the White House on this, but we have heard from Republicans on this committee, the House Oversight Committee. In a statement they just put out, they accused Democrats on this panel who released these files of, quote, carelessly cherry-picking documents to generate, quote unquote, clickbait. They say they ultimately will release these documents once they go through, redact things like victims' names, etc. And they say, quote, Democrats should stop politicizing this investigation.
ABC's Jay O'Brien there. Your money at this moment, the Dow is up 396 points. The S&P is up 10 points. And coming up, hazy skies. KSL weather is next. KSL News Time, 11:31.
The sources where we get our news matters.
When you listen to Utah's Morning News, we want you to feel the stories are important to you and trustworthy. This is Amanda Dixon.
And I'm Andy Farnsworth. Join us weekday mornings on KSL News Radio.
The holidays are just around the corner, and Western Nut Company is here to make your gifting a breeze. From our beautiful gift baskets and nut boxes to our famous in-house fudge and brittle, we've got treats for every taste bud, crafted with the highest quality ingredients. Corporate gifting, that's our specialty. Just send us your list and we'll handle the rest. Beautifully packed, shipped with care, and guaranteed to impress. Calling all office managers or executive assistants. Call Western Nut now and let us make your holidays a little less nuts. But we actually do want you to eat more nuts. For 60 years, Western Nut has been a proud Utah tradition. Stop by our downtown shop for unique gifts, glittering ornaments, festive decor, and so much more. Western Nut Company, more than just the best gifts in Utah. We're a holiday tradition, in store or online at westernut.com, where quality meets tradition, and every gift is packed with love.
1847. Our home Utah takes shape. A century later, Utah's home champion is born. Since 1947, Whipple Service Champions has earned the trust of over 250,000 Utah homeowners, with techs who rise above to deliver award-winning heating, cooling, plumbing, and electrical. Championing the spirit of 47, Whipple is offering $47 off any home repair or service, including drain clearings. Act now and call Whipple Service Champions at 801-896-1947 for the win today.
You've got your whole life ahead of you, so choose a Medicare plan you can count on. And that's what you get with a Medicare Advantage plan from United Healthcare. With more than 45 years' experience serving its members, United Healthcare has plans with low monthly premiums that fit your life today and as your needs change tomorrow. The Medicare annual enrollment period ends December 7th, so go to uhc.com/Medicare today. United Healthcare Medicare plans. It's Medicare coverage Utah can count on.
Emergency traffic and weather together brought to you by Mountain America's Visa Triple Rewards. Here's Ricky Meese. Cormac Bone.
Thank you. Well, it's a crash on northbound I-15 in Bountiful at 400 North. Traffic is currently at a stop northbound I-15, and those delays are building toward the north interchange with I-215. We also have delays on the southbound side, as it seems some cars have, some of the damage has gone over the median. Odyssey Dance Theater's Christmas Spectacular, starring David Osmond. Fill your heart with the Christmas spirit this year. Visit odysseydance.com for tickets. Cormac Bone in the KSL Traffic Center.
A high of 63 today with mostly cloudy skies. The sun is back tomorrow with a high of 69. Right now, 55 and mostly cloudy. I'm Claire Scott from the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios. Listen online at kslnewsradio.com. We're Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
New Inside Sources. Your inside access to the people and policies shaping Utah's future. Here are Greg Skordas and Holly Richardson on KSL News Radio.
We love being number one in Utah, and I like it when you do the chant, we're number one. But being number two isn't bad either. Utah is now rated, and we're looking at a study by WalletHub.com, the second most charitable state, boasting the highest volunteer rate at roughly 47%. And
that is high.
That is really high. And the most volunteer hours per capita at over 46 hours. That's a lot of volunteer hours and a lot of volunteer time. That does not surprise me. It does surprise me that we're number two because it seems like
know.
But if you look at the numbers, and you know who's number one?
It's Wyoming, which seems weird to me.
but I mean, the numbers are so close between Utah and Wyoming. The metrics are very, very close. So
that is true. So they rank states on a score, I think, up to 100, and Utah is 68.59 is our total score, but Wyoming is 69.49. So we are very close. It's interesting. Look, all of these studies, they look at different metrics, and we've had conversations about that before. But it's one of the things that I think Utah prides itself on is we do give. And we give in time, and we give in money, and we give in goods. And, we've had conversations multiple times over the last several weeks about with the Utah Food Bank, and Jeanette Bott, the CEO there, has said those very things. You can donate in those three ways, right? Time, money, and goods.
Right.
And I think it applies beyond just the food bank. And I'm looking at userve.utah.gov, which is the Utah Commission on Service and Volunteerism, and their numbers, look, 1.2 million residents volunteered through an official organization. And that volunteering, this is in 2023, but the most recent information, that volunteering contributed $3.8 billion in economic value and it helped more than 1.7 million residents, right? And then it's like you're helping informally too. So people will volunteer on their own. Like I'll go across the street and take my neighbor a dinner, right? If they're moving or they just had a baby or they're sick or whatever. I mean, that's informal volunteering.
And we're learning this at a time, Holly, in our state's history and our country's history when volunteering is more important than ever. And I know the government shutdown is soon to end and that maybe a lot of benefits will be back in place. But when November 1st hit, we were thinking about losing food stamp benefits, losing SNAP benefits, losing health care benefits, and a lot of things that were coming down the pike. Not necessarily that those occurred on November 1st, but people were looking at that. And we had been talking just on this show with people from the food bank, from the pantries, about the shortage, and that Utahns were stepping up to the plate. Yeah. Not just our state government, because our legislature has done an incredible job, but Utahns themselves have been stepping up. So yeah, I mean, none of these numbers really surprise me very much.
Yeah, it's one of the things, right, that we look at, and it's from a nonprofit perspective. Sometimes it's interesting because we know that there's a predominant religion in our state. It's the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. And sometimes people are like, well, I gave 10% to the church, and so, I don't need to donate in other ways. But I think sometimes also we look at just financial donations. That's not the only way to be charitable. And so that's where I see, like, when we talk with the food bank, et cetera, you see a lot of people who will go out and, like you did, go buy food and take actual goods to donate.
A lot of us don't think about the volunteer hours part of it. I mean, I told you this sort of tongue-in-cheek a little bit. Sometimes I have clients who are ordered to do community service. And so they end up going to the food bank. They end up doing something like that, and they get hooked on it. They decide,
there's something there.
I had to do this to pay off my fine, but I want to do this now and get my family involved. And I see more and more families that, that go down to the underpass and go down where they're feeding the homeless and feeding groups that can't afford food and just serving them food. And I've done that a lot for our drug court community, where you do that, and the joy that you have, especially with the young people, the kids who are seeing a plate full of food and the Christmas presents and whatever else you can do for them. Especially this time of year and this time in our society, just in our history, when goods and services are at a not doing as well as we have in the past, to see that Utahns are stepping up to the plate.
Yeah, it's interesting too, right? I mean, I have an opportunity this week with my church congregation, the women in our church congregation. We're going to be weaving basically waterproof mats for unsheltered individuals. And we're just doing that as our neighborhood church congregation, right? We'll get together and we'll do that. And then that will be to an organization that will do the distribution. But it's those opportunities that I appreciate, both formal and informal opportunities to do things.
Yeah, and when you look at some of the metrics that we used here, I mentioned some of these before. 47% volunteer hours, which is the most, per capita 46 hours. But then you look at this, when it comes to giving money to charity, families in Utah donate about 3.5% of their adjusted gross income on average, the second most in the country. 3.5% also has the third highest percentage of taxpayers who donate money to charity.
And that would be like a formal 501c3 nonprofit organization, right? Where you can track that kind of money. Yeah.
Right. It's not necessarily money given to a church organization, although it could be. And certainly Utahns donate a lot to their religious affiliations as well.
Right. It's again, we're looking even at the Wallet Hub study. They mentioned what we've already said, especially if people can't afford to give a lot of money and due to the influence of inflation or economic stress or whatever, but they can donate their time. And I remember it's like every once in a while you see this meme go around on social media, and it's the idea of I complained that I didn't have new shoes until I met a man who had no shoes, right? And then that person met a man who had no feet, for example. I mean, some of those, sometimes I think the part of serving is that we can always find areas where we're doing better, right? And we had a conversation with Sharon Eubank, who is the director of philanthropies for the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. And she said that. And do you remember the story she said about the woman in India? Do you remember that story?
I don't.
So she talked about a woman who was, I think, from Arizona maybe, but just, typical, I would say, middle to upper class American, and they go on a church mission, she and her husband, to India. And she kept sending home these letters saying, I'm so sorry for these people. They're so poor. They just don't have anything. Like they just, like, they're all crammed into these tiny little apartments. And she went to church one Sunday, and one of the women there said, I'm so sorry for you. And she's like, wait, what? You're so poor. Like you have nothing. You live just by yourself, and like you cook this food that's not that interesting. It's kind of bland. Oops. Right? And they're just like, can you come over and we'll teach you how to cook and you can be our family, right? And she realized at that moment that she had a lens on that wasn't accurate, that there were things that she was going to learn and be given from the people she thought she was there to serve, right? And I think that's one of the things that's so great about serving others.
Yeah, and I think that we all remember a time in our lives when we needed some help. And then we get to a point, a lot of us, where we are flush, where things are good for us, and you can't forget the times when you weren't in that position, and that's why we did what we did a couple weeks ago. I think it's something that way overdue. We should have done it before. We would go and buy food and take it to the food bank. I mean, I feel selfish that I hadn't done that before, and that it took something like this to get my wife and I to go out and do that. Now I think it's going to be part of what we do regularly.
Yeah, I think that's great. And you know what? You find yourself in a position now because of your recent bike accident that you can be served by other people in different ways that you didn't need before, and now maybe you do need that.
Yeah, you forget your neighborhood when you have something like this, because people were bringing us food and soups and things like that, and it's not like we couldn't afford it. But it was so nice not to have to go out and not to
for
run
people
out
to
and
think
get
of
people
you
just
and,
bring it over, and it was incredible, that the charity that we had just within our own neighborhood.
Yeah, and that again, that's, you can serve across the ocean, but you can also cross the street, right? And we have needs right in our own neighborhoods. So I'm glad that you were the recipient of that. So we've had a couple of texters ask us who the number one state is. We'll remind you, it was Wyoming.
Yeah, by a nickel, just barely over Utah. And not surprising, I don't know, Wyoming seems to be a state of giving and compassion. It wouldn't have been my guess.
Right, it wouldn't have been my guess. But that's okay. That's fair, 10. Right? So now I've learned something, and I can be humble.
You know what the worst state was?
I will tell you right now.
New Mexico.
So,
I mean, we're all sort of in the same little area here of the country.
Yeah. And number
49
is Nevada, so there you go.
Yeah.
All right. Well, we don't have our regular producer, Caitlin Johnston, right now, but she is our resident Taylor Swift fan. But I do have a fun fact about Taylor Swift and a Utah connection when we come back after the break.
You're listening to Leaf Filter Radio, and the guru of gutter protection himself, Chris Cunahan, is here to take your most pressing leaf-related questions and bring you a special Black Friday offer.
Hey, everybody, Chris here. I understand we have Ron on the line. Ron, where are you calling from?
Uh-oh. Ron, are you calling from a ladder?
Well, I was. I wanted to ask Chris what I need to do to get my gutters ready to have Leaf Filter installed.
Oh, Ron, you don't have to do anything. A Leaf Filter Trusted Pro will come out and clean out your gutters, realign and seal your gutters, and install Leaf Filter, America's #1 gutter protection system.
So I didn't need to get on this ladder?
Ron, Leaf Filter Trusted Pros are in your neighborhood and ready to help. Just visit leaffilter.com/radio to schedule your free gutter inspection and get up to 30% off.
Thank goodness. What was that site?
That's leaffilter.com/radio. And now, as a special Black Friday offer, you can get a free gutter inspection, plus up to 35% off. This is our best offer of the season. Unlock it now at leaffilter.com/radio. See representative for warranty details.
Emergency traffic brought to you by Mountain America's Visa Triple Rewards. We have a crash on I-15 in Bountiful at 400 North, impacting both north and southbound traffic. Drivers are slowly trickling through on the northbound side, and southbound still has that left lane and shoulder blocked. Wasatch Front business owners and property managers, GoPave Utah provides all asphalt repairs for your parking. For patching and paving along the Wasatch Front, contact GoPaveUtah.com. GoPaveUtah.com. Cormac Bone in the KSL Traffic Center.
You trust us for news and information in your car. Now trust us at home. KSL News Radio has you covered, keeping you informed on the latest breaking news, weather, traffic, sports, and more. Listen on your Amazon Echo or Google Home device. Just say, Alexa, open KSL News Radio. Or listen on the KSL News Radio Listen app. Text the word app to 57500. KSL News Radio. We have you covered.
You gave years, maybe decades to your job. You showed up, worked hard, and planned for retirement. But now, the company's changed. Or maybe you've taken a buyout or been forced into early retirement. So, what happens next? I'm Jeff Jr., founder of Trajan Wealth. And if you've built up a 401k or thrift savings plan, now is the time to ask, is that money really working for you? Many workplace retirement plans offer limited options and even less guidance. At Trajan Wealth, we help people just like you roll over their accounts into IRAs with more flexibility and personalized investment strategies built around your goals. For households with $500,000 or more, let us build you a personalized plan. We operate on veteran values, service, trust, and doing what's right. Your next chapter starts now. Call Trajan today, 801-207-9900. That's 801-207-9900.
Advisory services offered through Trajan Wealth, LLC, an SEC-registered investment advisor. See website for details.
Most folks wait till January to say, I should probably fix this or do something about how you feel. But you know what? You're going to go into 2026 with the resolution already done because soda helps you lose the weight now, so your New Year's all celebration.
You and I both started our soda weight loss journey in October and November, right? And I loved going into holiday parties knowing I had a plan. It wasn't just, I'm going to try not to. It was, this is my plan, because I've spoken with a nutritionist and I get a jump start on that, first of the year goal by beginning soda weight loss right now.
Yeah, there's no guesswork. You're supported every step of the way, and you need that. And right now, there's an amazing offer from Soda for you and your partner. You join, and your partner joins for free.
So why gain 20 pounds just to lose it in the new year? Go to Soda Weight Loss today and begin today.
That's sodaweightloss.com, SOTA weightloss.com, because soda is, say it with me, Amanda, state of the art.
At BMW of Pleasant Grove, we believe that driving should be more than just a commute. It should be an experience. Feel the perfect fusion of performance, technology, and luxury with our stunning lineup of new and certified pre-owned BMWs. From the exhilarating drive of a 3 or 5 Series to the spacious elegance of an X7, experience a transparent and effortless car buying experience. Visit us at bmwofpg.com. BMW of Pleasant Grove. The ultimate driving machine is closer than you think.
This is Derek Miller speaking on business. Neighborhood House plays a vital role in Utah by providing resources and programs that empower families and strengthen communities. From family support services to educational and social initiatives, they help Utahns thrive and build lasting connections statewide. Development and Communications Director Andrea Arflak joins us with more.
Neighborhood House is a nonprofit with a long-standing legacy of nurturing and educating children while supporting families with aging or disabled adults. Since 1894, we've helped hardworking, low-income families maintain stability and self-sufficiency through access to quality, affordable care. We offer nationally accredited toddler, preschool, after-school, and summer programs for children ages 15 months to 12 years. For adults who need supervised care during the day, our Adult Day services provide connection, engagement, and peace of mind for their families. All services are offered on a sliding fee scale, ensuring they're accessible to those who need them most. And now with our expansion to the Spark campus, Neighborhood House is reaching even more families, providing a welcoming, inclusive space where children, adults, and seniors can learn, grow, and thrive together. Learn more at nhutah.org or follow us on social media.
With expanded services and the Spark campus, Neighborhood House continues strengthening Utah communities by creating inclusive opportunities for learning, growth, and connection. Their programs support families, foster independence, and help build a healthier, more resilient state for everyone. I'm Derek Miller with the Salt Lake Chamber, speaking on business.
Save $2,500 on a new furnace and air conditioner from Any Hour Services. For more information, call Any Hour Services or schedule a free estimate online at anyhourservices.com.
And expanded Inside Sources.
I guess it's got to be good for business, Holly, when Taylor Swift shows up wearing some of your items. And apparently there's a Utah jewelry store that's seen their sales surge by something like 800% after Taylor Swift was seen wearing one of their, and you're going to have to help me with this, a lock necklace paired with a diamond trail lariat.
Yeah.
I don't know what a diamond trail lariat is, but
It just is how it looks, right? So they don't even have a brick and mortar store at this point, which is so interesting. So it's Jacqueline and Kevin. I think it's Elbaum is how you say their last name. Audrey Rose Jewelry. So yes, Taylor Swift is good for business. So anyway, she said. So Taylor Swift was wearing it. The owners of the jewelry store. They started it 10 years ago trying to raise their family. And she said a friend sent her a picture of Taylor Swift, and she's like, oh my gosh, that's our necklace. And it was the first time she had worn it publicly, and demand just skyrocketed.
I'm looking at the picture, though, and it's hard to say. I mean, you'd have to know your product really, really well to say that's from our jeweler.
I'm sure they do. It's like your babies, right?
I guess
you
so,
recognize
right? Yeah,
it.
you recognize it. And I don't know that Taylor Swift necessarily thought, well, I'm going to help a business or not. She probably got it because she liked it or somebody gave it to her.
Exactly.
It was good looking, and she can frankly wear just about anything she wants, jewelry or shoes or fashion items or whatever, and she's going to help that company out, whether she, no matter what, just because she's such an icon.
Well, let me tell you this. I'm looking at their website. This is not cheap. This is not costume jewelry. They have a necklace available for sale for $7,800. I'm like, what? It's a what?
Whoa, right, yeah.
Anyway, so that was great news for a local Utah business, and they actually sent Taylor Swift a thank you note, hoping maybe someday they'll hear back from her. Thank you for wearing our jewelry and sending business our way.
Jacqueline and Kevin Elbaum, owners of Audrey Rose Jewelry, said that their products have skyrocketed since Taylor Swift wore Audrey Rose Jewelry. So I think we have to take a look at that and see. She was spotted in New York wearing one of their lock necklaces.
Yep, that's right.
Cool.
So look, today, so we also have the fun facts of the day. So today is National French Dip Day. And those are the sandwiches that you dip in juice, right? The au jus that you dip. And it's interesting because I don't think I ever had those when I lived in France. And they also don't have French toast or French fries in France. So.
Oh, you never had a French dip while you were in France?
No, I don't think so. I think this is an American invention, not a French invention.
I think because au jus sounds so cool.
I know, well, au jus is French, but
basically you're just putting it in some sort of a hot
dip.
Dip.
But
right.
so this is interesting. So you got to understand this. So on this day in 1908, there was a restaurant in Los Angeles. See, I knew it was an American invention. So in 1908, so 110 years ago, there was a restaurant that put this together and said they put roast beef basically in a sandwich, and then they started serving this. It's basically beef broth, really,
right, yeah.
that you dip it in. And
it's
they're
really good, though.
Yeah, right. It is. I love it. Actually, I just had some last week, so I should have waited, and then I could have it today. So anyway, it's National French Dip Day, and it's because a restaurant in Los Angeles put together a roast beef sandwich, gave some people some liquid, and said, here, dip it. And they're like, oh, this is good.
It makes the bread good. It makes the meat good. It makes it
sometimes, but your bread has to be firm enough that it doesn't just turn into a soggy
mush,
mess.
Right, yes.
Yeah, that is
get
correct.
a French dip tonight.
Yeah. Okay, so on this day in 1751, a woman named Margaret Corbin was born. Here's what's interesting about Margaret. When she was a little older, she was married, and her husband was fighting in the Revolutionary War. He was running a cannon, and he was killed in battle. She took over being the cannon. Is it a cannoneer? Yeah. I don't know, right? Anyway, she took over her husband's cannon after he was killed in battle. She also got wounded. The Continental Congress recognized her actions by granting her a pension. Was it the same as her husband's? No, it was not. It was half.
Oh, good news, bad news.
They're like, thank you so much for your service. Here's half. If you were a man, you would have gotten more.
Still,
it was great. Yeah.
I can't imagine in those days operating a cannon and not being injured. Not necessarily from the enemy, but those things were just like
the kick and the heat
light and just run and duck.
Yeah.
I'm sure that there was a lot of collateral damage from those things.
So on this day in 1815, Elizabeth Cady Stanton was born. Of course, she's well known for her involvement in the women's suffrage movement. And I included a quote from her in today's Utah Policy newsletter that was, I know nothing of man's rights or woman's rights. Human rights are all that I recognize. She was very, very outspoken. Elizabeth Cady Stanton, of course.
And this day is her
birthday. in 1815.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, 1815. And she died before
110
suffrage.
years ago.
Yeah.
Right.
So on this date, also in 1929, almost 100 years ago, Grace Kelly was born. So Grace Kelly was an American actress in the early to mid 1950s. But do you remember who she married?
She became Princess Grace.
Yeah,
so
she
must
did.
Have been a prince.
She married Prince Rainier of Monaco.
That's right. Yeah.
In April of 1956. So here is my really fun fact about her. I met her. And I met Prince Rainier, and I met one of their daughters, and I met Cary Grant at the palace in Monaco.
And you just happened to be there because...
So my parents, we were living in France. My dad was in the Air Force, and he was teaching English at the French Air Force Academy, which is it was in southern France. And so because Princess Grace was an American, she knew that there was a regular contingency, I guess, of American professor, but also of American cadets who were there. And so every Christmas, she would invite the Americans down to the palace in Monaco, and they had a big, meet and greet and shake hands and stuff. So in the palace. So my parents took us kids, there were 6 of us, they took us down, but we weren't invited. We weren't on the invitation. So we were outside the palace. And of course, Monaco is really pretty. It's gorgeous. And we were just standing outside, and this guard, like in this really formal dress, comes up and taps me on the shoulder, and and basically said, "Excuse me, are your parents so-and-so?" And I'm like, "Yeah." And he's like, "Okay, follow me into the palace." Right. And so we're like, okay, like I was a little nervous that maybe we had done something, because I think the last thing my parents said to us was like, do not get in trouble.
Do not pick the flowers.
Right?
And you did. You were wearing one in your hair at the time.
Anyway, so we followed them into the palace, and they were Princess Grace lived up to her name. She was so gracious, so kind. I'm 12 years old. I'm a really awkward phase. And in fact, I'm wearing shoes this would have been Christmas of 1977, so a long time ago. I was wearing shoes that had these really weird wavy bottoms, and Cary Grant took one look at those and said, "Oh, my daughter has the same ugly shoes as that." She was about the same age as me. Anyway, and my brother asked one of the princesses, he said to her, "Do you have your own room?"
I think a lot of us remember Grace Kelly. Princess Grace is really an icon, just one of the most... Just her looks and the way she carried herself and her acting ability. Somebody that was just
so gorgeous and gracious. And she died shortly after we moved back to the United States in the very, very twisty, turny roads coming from France into Monaco. And I think her daughter was the driver at the time, but it was just such a tragedy.
And you remember that?
Yeah. Look, that's it for Inside Sources today. Coming up on midday with Maria Chaleos, Utah food banks say it's still going to be a long road ahead before their funding and stock returns. Stay with us on KSL News Radio.
KSL FM Midvale.
KSL Salt Lake City.
From the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios, this is KSL News Radio.
Utah's news, traffic, and weather station. Good afternoon. KSL News Time is 12 o'clock noon, and this is Midday. I'm Maria Chaleos. KSL's top story this hour. It appears the government shutdown could soon be coming to an end, but the Utah Food Bank says people are still going to need help for a while. KSL News Radio's Heather Peterson has the latest. Heather?
Maria, since the government shutdown began, the Utah Food Bank has seen about a 140% increase in people reaching out for help on the phone and on their website. They actually had to double their reception staff to handle the influx. But Jeanette Bott, president and CEO for the Utah Food Bank, says Utahns have stepped up to meet the need.
This is a holiday time that people normally do extra giving for us. We see that in a normal circumstance or a normal year. But this year, because this was so different and something so independent of holiday giving, people stepped up and made their donations, and they did it immediately.
They also received $1 million in emergency funding from the state in the last 2 weeks since SNAP benefits were paused. Bott says donations have started slowing today, likely because people believe the shutdown and the need are ramping down. But she hopes people will keep the help coming as we enter the holiday season. Reporting live, Heather Peterson, KSL News Radio.
The Church of Jesus Christ Latter-day Saints is preparing to roll out their Light the World giving machines for the holidays again this year, and there will be several machines here in Utah. KSL News Radio's Adam Small has more.
The machines will be in 126 cities throughout 21 different countries this year, including Salt Lake City, Orem, Ogden, Logan, and St. George. The church has been rolling out these machines around the holidays since 2017. When you go to one, you can purchase anything from food, clean water, medical care, or even livestock that'll then be distributed to people in need around Utah, the country, and the world. Elder W. Mark Bassett is a General Authority 70.
But the important part of Christmas is remembering the gift of Jesus Christ. And as we give to others and sacrifice of our own means, that is a blessing to each one of us.
You can find a full list of where the machines are in Utah and when they're open on our website, kslnewsradio.com. Adam Small, KSL News Radio.
KSL News Time 12:02. The ruling on Utah's new congressional map has caught the attention of Democrats in Washington who are hoping they can help turn one of Utah's 4 House seats blue next year. The chairwoman of the U.S. House Democrats' official fundraising arm told the Deseret News that they will stand ready to help flip the 1st District. The ruling also has the attention of Republicans who are trying to maintain control of the House in 2026. The changes in the map here in Utah and other states could impact the balance of power in Congress. Jason Perry is the director of the Hinckley Institute of Politics at the University of Utah.